I'm Carl on the Progressive Insurance Guest Line. Is Hall of Fame quarterback Warren Moon.
I want you to put on some coach's hat for us. You are the head coach of the New York Jets. What do you do to right this ship, Warren?
Well, their biggest problem has been their quarterback position, and you have to be able to have a good quarterback play, at least good quarterback play, in order to be good in this league right now. And they do not have that. They have a good running game. They have a great defense, like you said. And defenses kind of feed off the offense. If the offense is doing positive things, the defense plays better. They play harder. They play with more of a dedication because they know they have a chance to win. But when your offense isn't moving the ball, when your offense isn't scoring, that defense isn't going to play with that same inspiration. They're going to make the change at quarterback. I would have done the same thing maybe a couple of weeks ago.
The Boss and the Gloss, Monday nights from 6 to 8 Eastern.
You're listening to WRDB, Western Reserve Digital Broadcasting, Youngstown, Warren, Salem, and around the world.
Lena's Pierogi House is your home for the area's best variety of pierogies. Daily specials include the Polish platter, the Hungarian platter, stuffed cabbage, and halushki. Having a last-minute get-together? Lena's has you covered with a wide variety of frozen take-home pierogies and dumplings. Go to Facebook at Lena's Pierogi House to see the weekly lineup of available flavors for dine-in or carry-out. Catch the best at Lena's Monday from 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. and Tuesday through Friday from 10 a.m. to 8 p.m. 20 North Main Street in Hubbard or call 234-254-8532.
Accidents happen. That's why you need Repair That Glass. Specializing in windshield replacement and all other auto glass, we offer a full range of automotive glass repairs. Our technicians can do everything from minor chip repair to a complete replacement. Your windows don't go up or down, they can fix that too, along with custom glass work and antiques. Repair That Glass is a family-run business for over 40 years. Repair That Glass. Call for your appointment now at 330-534-3192.
During the fall and winter, grilling season never ends, and Gessler Propane is your local supplier that makes sure you get your hard-earned money's worth. Why go to gas exchanges to pay higher prices for tanks not filled to capacity? Gessler Propane makes sure you're prepared for year-round grilling with 100% filled tanks at a reasonable cost. See Bob Monday through Friday, 10 to 4, and Saturday, 9 to 3 at Gessler Propane, 702 Youngstown Poland Road, Struthers, or call 330-755-9119. Gessler Propane. They got gas.
SNK, painting your house today. SNK, painting your house
SNK Painting provides exceptional painting and refinishing services to the Mahoning Valley and surrounding communities by being an industry leader in our field, focusing on customer service and delivering extraordinary results. We offer interior and exterior painting, and we specialize in cabinet refinishing with affordable cabinet solutions. Call SNK Painting for your free estimate at 330-505-1910.
SNK, painting your house today.
It's time to kick back and listen to the sports page with your host, Pat Lucia, right here on Western Reserve Radio. You can call the show at 330-707-4202 and tell everyone what's on your mind in the wonderful world of sports. Now, here's your host, Pat Lucia.
Saturday morning sports page. Pat Lucia, Dave Clark on Western Reserve Radio, 330-707-4202. You want to get in and talk sports. We do it every Saturday morning here on Western Reserve Radio from 9 to 11. Well, Dave Clark, I guess college football is front and center today. This is the big day for the playoffs, sort of to speak. Bottom line is the big game last night. Washington beat Oregon. That was an upset if you ask the odds makers. Mm-hmm. Oregon was like a 10-point favorite going into that game. Washington jumped up real quick. Mm-hmm. It was like 20-10 or 20-3, and Oregon kind of fought back, but Michael Penix basically led Washington down the field for pretty much the winning drive, and then they, in essence, were able to get those first downs and put the game on ice 34-31. Mm-hmm. So Washington will be one of the final four teams, no doubt. They went undefeated.
Right.
So that's kind of a no-brainer. I guess the big question is going to be, though, today, college football, is there could be chaos. Mm-hmm. If Alabama were to beat Georgia, that's where I think the chaos would start. Buckeye fans really have to hope for a lot of things to happen today. Well, they have to hope it for two things to happen. They have to hope that Oklahoma State beat Texas and that Florida State loses.
Right.
That would open up the door for Ohio State to grab that fourth spot.
Yeah.
And they have to hope that Alabama gets beat. Because Ohio State has to, if Alabama gets beat, they have 2 losses, they're out.
Right.
And obviously Florida State looks like we'll be playing with a third-string quarterback today.
Yep.
They lose to Louisville, they're out. But if they win, they get in because they're undefeated.
Right.
And they're not going to keep an undefeated Florida State out.
Right. And it's tough, too. It's sad that Travis Jordan.
Right. The starter, went out.
Or Jordan Travis.
Yeah, Jordan
Travis. But, it's just sad that the guy, because he was playing great for the season. I mean, he gives them a spark, throwing the ball for sure, and then he can run. He got that extra. So, so getting these young guys, I think a freshman today, maybe to start a third string. Matter of fact, I think the backup was a freshman, too, that came in. Yeah. He got a concussion in the last game, and I don't know if he got through protocol yet.
They said I looked it up today. He is a game time decision.
Okay.
So that's 8:00 tonight. So they're going to be waiting to see
just how things are.
How things are there. So the second string quarterback is basically questionable, I guess, or we could call him a game time decision. So I guess he still has between now and then to basically make the protocol, and if he does, then he'll play. But Florida State, and it's Rodemaker is the reaching for that name. The quarterback, Rodemaker, is the backup who played last week, but I guess it was at the end of the game. Tate Rodemaker suffered a head injury in concussion protocol, so he is a questionable call going into tonight's game. So we'll have to wait and see. Now, Florida State, depending on how if they do win, there's a lot of experts out there that think that because you're going in with at least a second string quarterback, if you win, then when you go to the game this January 1st, you'll have a backup quarterback. And in all probability, everybody is assuming that Florida State will be a 4th seed. And if Georgia wins, they'll play Florida State, which probably won't be a very good game in people's eyes. And then it looks like this is setting up, and we're assuming Michigan beats Iowa, but Michigan looks like will play Washington.
Right.
If Georgia wins, Michigan should win. If they win, Washington's in. Florida State wins. The Final Four would be Georgia, Florida State, in our best estimation. Michigan playing Washington. Now things get real crazy I'll ask you this question. What happens if Bama beats Georgia, then Michigan wins, Washington's in, Florida State wins? If Florida State wins, then do they basically what? Put Bama in because they won the SEC title, even though if Texas wins, Texas beat Bama, would Texas be out? Or Texas would scream and yell, hey, we deserve to be in over Bama because we beat them during the regular season many years, many weeks ago, seems like years.
Well, let me ask you, Alabama's ranked ahead of Texas right now?
Oh yeah, let's see. Let's look at those. Let's look at the rankings right now because that's $100 million question. Is the rankings the top 25 as of now? Because I think Ohio State's Georgia no, Alabama is basically 8. Texas is 7.
Okay,
that's how they've got this thing mapped out.
So Texas wins. Alabama wins.
Texas would, according to this, get in.
Yeah, will still get in there.
But Ohio State is actually above them both. They're 6. See, this is the part with this top 25 that doesn't make a lot of sense. If you want to hold it to how does basically Texas jump Ohio State? I mean, granted, Ohio, I guess you'll say Texas won, so therefore.
Yeah, and they won their conference.
Right.
So that's where they jumped.
So that's where they would jump Ohio State.
Yeah. I mean, either one would jump them to that. Now, the thing that would really be crazy, if Alabama won and beat Georgia by 20.
Right.
Let's say they beat them 40-20.
Okay.
Now what do you do? Alabama beat the top-ranked team who's been dominating. They got to get in. They're the conference champion. Now, do you kick Georgia all the way out? I mean, you could.
If Florida State wins.
Yeah, Florida State.
If Florida State wins the game tonight with the third, say the third string quarterback wins the game. They're playing Louisville, who got absolutely boat raced last week against Kentucky. So if Florida State beats Louisville tonight, they're in. I don't know, how do you leave an undefeated team of the Power Five out? You could scream and yell that ACC is not a very good conference, yada, yada, yada. We know all that. Yeah. But Florida State beat LSU, had a couple good wins during the season. Mm-hmm. They go undefeated.
They'll probably be in.
They're in. That means if Georgia loses, they're out.
Yeah. But I still think it's depending on how they lose.
But here's a good question. Georgia loses in overtime by 3 points and they win by a questionable pass interference call. That's never happened before.
Well,
here comes the flag. That's it. You know, some guy brushed by the corner, kind of hit his elbow up. That's holding.
Yeah.
They get the ball in the end zone. Alabama kicks the field goal, wins the game, 34-31 over Georgia. Georgia, all the fans are screaming and yelling, we got screwed. The referees decided the game. Like, yeah, we've seen that before. Okay, so Georgia gets absolutely, we'll just paint this case scenario that Georgia gets absolutely screwed. People are outraged. It's crazy. Florida State wins they win on a questionable call by a field goal. Let's put this case scenario together. So you've got a situation where Georgia loses, Florida State wins like on an absolutely outrageous call. Florida State's undefeated. Georgia, who's 12-1, Michigan wins by 30 point, whatever. They blow out Iowa. Washington's in. You can't take Washington out.
They're in there.
They're in. Okay, now the committee's got to make they got to make $100 million decision. Do they basically say, okay, Alabama wins. They win by a controversial call, but they win. So who do you put in?
Yeah, you're going to have some issues there.
Because do you put Bama in, or do you put Texas and you leave the SEC totally out?
Yeah.
Because you only have 4 spots.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. And Texas blow out somebody, but it'd be fun to see.
I love to see it
because it's going to be chaos.
Total chaos.
But it'd be hard. I just feel Georgia's in. I think they'll beat Alabama, but you just never know. Alabama's been playing well, and all you need is a couple turnovers, something happen. And they can lose this game for sure because Alabama that's a different Alabama team than earlier in the season. That is not the same team. So that quarterback Milrose is playing lights out.
Last week's game against a crappy Auburn team, they made probably the play of the year in their eyes. That touchdown that won the game, 30 yards, 4th and goal from the 30.
Yep.
Millwood threw that ball just like on a line and touchdown. Alabama looks like they were going to lose the game. They win it.
Yep.
And, that would have eliminated Alabama right away
there.
if they lost to Auburn. Well, they win it. How about if they win a game comparable this week to Georgia and win like that against Georgia?
Yes.
Or they win on a very controversial play. So now Georgia's sitting there. Alabama, you can't let, I guess in essence, you're going to put them in for winning the conference.
Right.
So they're in. Looks like Georgia's sitting, they're out.
Yeah.
And there are going to be a lot of people in Georgia who are going to be screaming and yelling.
Yeah. I mean,
if Florida State wins.
Test, I'll be wondering, you want the best, but that's why this whole thing from the beginning is a dumb setup. Top 4, right. But you got 5 power conferences.
Right.
What sense does that make from the beginning?
This has
put
been
the top 4 teams in the Power 5. That means if you got Power 5, put all 5, so you need more teams in it from the beginning. That was just dumb from the beginning.
This was flawed. This was flawed from start.
Yep.
It was flawed because you just said it. Mm-hmm. You should have at least had 6 teams in. You should have figured out to get a bye. You should have had at least 6 teams in or 8 in.
Right.
What they really should have done is they should have just put 8 teams in and just stayed that way.
Yep.
8 would have solved all their problems.
You probably wouldn't even have an argument. They'll keep just as if it was 8, you might not even have a clamoring for 12. Somewhere down the road, we know it because of money. But it wouldn't be that soon. It would be a lot better because you had some at-large teams, some teams that should have an opportunity, But at least this is the last year.
This is it. And the committee could look at it. Well, this is the last year. We're just going to put the teams in we want.
Yeah, that's what. Remember, I said that last week. Do what they want.
The reality is, I was listening. Obviously, a lot of talk radio, but like Mad Dog Russo said, in his eyes, the 4 best teams in the country, the 4 best were at this point Georgia. This was before Oregon lost, but he had Georgia, Oregon, Michigan, and Ohio State were the 4 best teams. That was his 4 best teams, he said.
He said, who was it, Washington?
He said, Oregon.
Yeah.
But before last night,
they were playing.
Right.
They were playing
the way Oregon was playing, he said Georgia, Oregon, Michigan, Ohio State were the 4 best teams in the country. However, those 4 teams aren't going to get in. He goes, because he didn't think Ohio State's going to get in because there's too much to happen. But he thought they were the 4th best team in the country.
Right.
Which, again,
yeah.
Now with the committee, I think Washington's easy because last night's game was really a playoff game. That was the eliminator. The loser goes home. Oregon's out. Washington undefeated is in.
And I would say that too, to a certain extent, that's the best teams. Now, do I say that if Jordan Travis never went down? I don't know if I say that then. That Florida State team was something else with him at quarterback. That's a whole different animal right there. I don't know if I can just pick those 4 teams right off the bat. Maybe Washington would be out and Florida State would be in with Travis Jordan, but it's hard to say. Alabama got 1 loss, right, during the season.
1 Texas
to Texas, and basically. Can I say they're not one of the best teams? They have played great the rest of the way out. So, I mean, this is hard. That's why it's going to be much better next year. Let's get these Final 4, whoever it is, get it over with so we can go to the way it needs to be and give these opportunities to some of these other teams. And a surprise team will always happen. Somebody will be that as a Cinderella team. Somebody.
Right.
It's a lower seed that might pull off something.
And at least you could always have the argument 12 and 13, but that's not a bad argument. That's an easier argument than 4 and 5.
Yeah, much easier.
Right.
Yeah.
Bottom line. Mm-hmm. So the reality is here when you really work it out is now things could get really sideways if Michigan loses. Like if Iowa plays the game of their life, Michigan has a bad week after beating Ohio State. They have that proverbial letdown. Yeah. Iowa does have a very good defense.
Yeah, they do.
So Iowa gets lucky, a couple turnovers. The defense really holds Michigan. Michigan has just one of those bad games where, it happens.
They lose 13-10.
They lose a 13-10. Guy misses a field goal, wide right, from the 38-yard line.
Sorry, Buffalo.
There you go.
I didn't want to say that. Wide
Too many
right.
guys on the field. Okay, the referees don't call it. They miss it. You could paint all these case scenarios, but bottom line, what would happen if Iowa beat Michigan? If Alabama beats Georgia, Iowa beats Michigan, Now you talk about chaos. Now it's like totally wide open.
Yeah. Well, see, and then it's a nonsense because you'll have Michigan out, Iowa in because they won. They're in the Final Four.
Right. Would you put a 2-loss Iowa team in the Final Four?
They stink. They'll get destroyed. I don't care who they play.
Right.
Their defense is good, but now name those other teams. Alabama or Georgia, doesn't matter. They've had to play them. They stopping that offense? Either one of them? You stopping Washington's offense?
Maybe for a half.
For a half, that's it. They getting destroyed. It'll show why this thing was a farce from the beginning. Maybe you should have it like that. Maybe it needs to go out.
Like burning, like burning. Down in flames.
Yeah, down in flames to show how dumb this is. Because we did have that one year. Who was that won? I can't remember. Remember I think it was somebody in the Big Ten. Didn't somebody win and get into the Final Four?
Was it Penn State? No.
It wasn't Penn State. It wasn't Michigan State, was it, a long time ago?
Yeah, Michigan State got in. They got absolutely
they'd be like 40-something nothing or something.
Yeah, 1 year Michigan State got in against Alabama.
I don't know who they played in the Big Ten championship, but they won. It was an upset.
Yeah, it was an upset, and they got in. They only had one loss. They got in. Because no 2-loss team has ever made the Final Four ever. They
had one, and they got
absolutely...
And you knew they wasn't strong enough, but they played a heck of a Big Ten championship game and got in. You know, sometimes that's why they don't need to have that power. Well, if you are going to have a Power 5, then you got to take one of them out. You had to take that. That Michigan State team should have been out, and you should have got one of the other conferences.
Yeah, that was the year. That was the year they beat Ohio State with Barrett. That was that year. I'll look it up. They beat Ohio State at Ohio State. It was a real windy day down at Ohio State. Barrett was the quarterback. He kept running the ball. Kept running Barrett into the line. But who did they play
in the championship game, though? They still had that championship game.
Yeah, they did. We'll have to do a little research.
Yeah, have to research. I don't know how they got in there, but they upset someone. And boy, did they get... I mean, it was over in like the second quarter. And you don't want that in your Final Four playoff game.
No.
You look at that, it's just like the AFC and NFC championship.
They beat Iowa 16-13. It was the 2015 Big Ten championship game. Michigan State had one loss. Iowa went into that 12-0.
Okay.
And Michigan State beat them 16-13. Then they went on. That was the year they beat Ohio State, and that was 2015. Then it was the 2016, or it would have been the 2015 Final Four game. They played Alabama, and I believe they got. I know they got destroyed.
They did. I know. I remember they got.
Because I remember
bad
watching the game on my tablet.
I remember turning the station.
And I remember after...
That's what I remember.
watching it, because I don't know what happened. Anyway, I remember... And then I remember after the half, I said, well, because it was eating the data up on my on my plan, I just said, well, I don't have to do this anymore. I just shut it off, and I figured I just went to ESPN Gamecast and watched it off that, and I figured I'm not using my data anymore.
Yeah, no, it's terrible.
Because it was terrible. Anyway, but bottom line is, that was the year that Michigan State went, because they beat Ohio State that year down in Columbus. Then they ultimately got just absolutely destroyed by Alabama, one of the worst losses over at halftime. I think it was, I'll look it up, it was like 38-0, and I think Bama called off the dogs, sort of to speak, on that game because it was so far. They were so mismatched against Alabama. It wasn't even like, it was ridiculous. But and that's what going back last year. That's what happened when they let TCU in. They beat Michigan, but then when Georgia, barely beat Ohio State, barely, but beat them, that's set up for a horrible final.
Yeah.
That game, that was over after the first quarter last year, because everybody knew watching that game that Georgia TCU had no answer for Georgia, and that game was over quickly.
Yeah. Yep. Wasn't good at all.
And everybody kept saying, I mean, Nick Saban kept, basically saying, we need, you should put us in over TCU. We're a better team. Well, he didn't say that, but he was, how he talks. But in essence, we know what he was saying because that's what everybody else was saying. And then everybody went back and said, man, if you were to put Alabama in, at least you would have had Alabama beats Michigan, then at least been Alabama, Georgia, at least you'd have a better game to watch. Because that would have been a very competitive game for your final game.
Oh, for sure. But that mess, that was terrible.
But the game last year when they let TCU in, and TCU lost their conference championship team game and got in anyway. And people were like, well, how could you put them in? Can't you put Alabama in?
Yeah.
But Alabama's got 2 losses. We can't put a 2-loss team in.
And that's what happened, even though they were a better team.
But they were by far a better team.
Yep. So it's a flawed system, and it was flawed from the beginning. And like I said, I remember that particular year. I just didn't know what year it was. But like I said, second quarter, my TV was turned. I was watching reruns of Everybody Loves Raymond, Seinfeld, and it was something else they were on, and I just watched that. It was great. That was great. Instead of watching that junk that was on, that was terrible. It was just terrible that they were even in it.
They've had
to the Big Ten.
I'm so glad they are going to go. I know what it will do. I know it's going to render some of these conference championship games relatively irrelevant because, Oregon would probably, under the 12...
They should be in now.
Oregon would get in. If you had your 12 teams, Oregon would get in.
Yeah. They'll just be a lower seed.
They would be maybe 11 or 10.
They're too highly ranked. Those would be right in there.
Georgia, all these teams would almost get in. Like Ohio State would be in, Michigan would be in, obviously Georgia, Bama would be in. Then you would have Oregon, Washington in.
Yeah,
you could go down
this year.
Right, this year, if you said let's go to the 12 teams this year, you could rest assured that Georgia, Michigan, Washington, Florida State might be iffy, but they might get in. Oregon would get in. Ohio State would get in. Texas would get in. Alabama would get in.
Well, I think Florida State would if they won.
They probably would get in.
If they won that game,
they'd get in.
They'd be in.
They get in anyway.
It'd be fair.
They might get in even if they lost with 12 teams.
Yeah, they just may.
So
only one to be shaky is the winner of Texas, Oklahoma State. I think the winner would get in.
Right.
The loser might be out.
Yeah, I think Oklahoma State, if it's Oklahoma State would lose, they would not. But if Oklahoma State won, they would probably get in even with 3 losses with 12 teams because they won their conference title.
Right.
But Texas would probably still get in maybe with 2 losses with 12 teams.
Yeah. Now, I wonder if they're going to change that format that all champions automatic berth in the Power 5. Are they going to change that scenario? Because what you just said, Oklahoma State upsets.
Say they upset Texas.
They still could get in. But I can't see them still being a higher seed with 3 losses.
Yeah, right now.
They would have to be that 12th team, 11th team.
They are 18th seed. They're below Notre Dame. Notre Dame's a 17th rate. Oklahoma sits at 18. Notre Dame's not playing anybody. They don't get in, but Iowa's a 16. They're 10-2. If they win, they would get in automatically if you want to go.
Right.
Now, with Iowa, obviously they lose, they don't get in. Louisville at 10-2 is 14. If they win, they might get in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If you're looking strictly,
you can't let Liberty. Liberty have to get in. They have to be in that.
Yeah, they're 12-0
and 13 now.
Yeah, they won, so they're 13-0. They're at 24 though. But could they?
I don't know if anybody watched that game, but I did.
Oh, did you watch that game last night?
That was one of the most entertaining games I've ever seen. And I did, and I always like to look at players. And I will say this: all the receivers I done seen in college football, it's only a couple that stand out. First, Marvin Harrison, and also like the receiver at Washington. Very good. But I take one up, and he goes behind Marvin Harris. C.J. Daniels for Liberty. 6'2",
right,
215,
right,
4.40, and doesn't catch. He doesn't even let the ball touch his body. He catch everything with his hands.
Really?
And he catches it in his routes. They're showing his route. It's just so sharp. But who knew about him?
No.
I didn't ever know nothing about this guy. Catches everything. In traffic, it just doesn't matter. Fearless coming across the field. Just a guy that catches everything. And I don't know. I want to say he's a junior, but he might be a senior. And this guy, I'd seen him. I said, they kept showing his route running and his being helped by some Hall of Fame type guys and Randy Moss and them in off season who's been helping.
Saturday Morning Sports Page, Pat Lucia. That was Dave Clark. We'll come back. First quarter is in the books. Western Reserve Radio is the station. The Saturday Morning Sports Page is the show you're listening to. Back after a timeout.
Shining Stars Dance and Baton in Niles, Ohio is home to state, regional, national, and international world champions. They offer a wide variety of classes for ages 2.5 and up for boys and girls. Celebrating over 31 years in business, the excellent staff of instructors will help take your baton twirling skills to the next level.
Mill Creek Golf Course is the Valley's leader for golfing fun with a practice range, short game area, and hole 55 bar and grill all on site. Mill Creek Golf Course features a friendly PGA professional staff available for instruction, along with 36 challenging holes designed by the legendary Donald Ross. Don't forget family fun night golf on Fridays and Saturdays for just $25. For details and tee times, call 330-740-7112 or go online to millcreekmetroparks.org.
Located in Applewood Estates in Boardman Township, the Applewood Swim and Tennis Club offers a pleasant family environment. Choose a membership that meets your needs and enjoy a relaxing venue that includes not only swimming for the family, but also youth activities such as competitive swimming, tennis, and more. Enjoy the friendly atmosphere all summer long with the staff and members of the Applewood Swim and Tennis Club. For more information, go to applewoodswimandtennis.com or call 330-953-2833.
Meet Josh.
Hi, everybody.
Josh is a high school basketball player, solid shooter, great teammate.
Hey, don't forget my tenacious D.
And he's my son.
Wow.
So, what does Josh do to be the best basketball player he can be?
I play tennis.
Studies show that student athletes here in Ohio who play more than one high school sport are more likely to excel. Tennis does more than improve Josh's conditioning. It gives him a fresh competitive outlet, reduces the risk of injury by cross-training, and introduces him to different coaching techniques and new friends.
Don't get me wrong, hoops are my first love. Tennis just gives me a little break.
So when the new season begins, Josh isn't burned out on basketball. He's eager to play, and you can see the difference in his game.
This message presented by the Ohio High School Athletic Association and the Ohio Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
Saturday Morning Sports Page coming right back at you. Dave Clark joining me, as always, 330-707-4202 to get in and talk sports. Do it every morning here, and here is Western Reserve Radio at the Gessler Propane Studios. Dave Clark. Beautiful Struthers, Ohio. We've got a lot to get to. We've talked a lot about college football, at least the Final Four. Boy, there could be a lot of total chaos. I'm kind of rooting for total chaos. I would love to see Michigan lose, Georgia lose, Texas lose. They all lose. Would it be great? Go out with the Final Four being like, what's the committee going to do with this?
Yeah, that'd be funny.
Iowa beats Michigan on a last second field goal on a bad call by the referee. Georgia gets gets beat under, again, controversy. I love to see, I would like all these games to be real close as some kind of stupid controversy call.
Yeah.
You know, replay. Everybody's mad and upset. That's what I want.
It may happen.
Let's go to the phones. You're on the sports page. What's going on?
Good morning, Pat. Good morning, Dave. How you guys doing?
Hey, Irish Mike, what's happening?
Doing well. Hey, Dave, I texted Pat last night. We came up with a prop bet for the Michigan-Iowa game later on tonight.
Yes.
What is the over-under on how many first downs the Iowa offense will get against the Michigan defense tonight? We put it at 6.
I put it at 6. Iowa will get 6 over under 6.
Oh my goodness!
Maybe we should make it 8.
Leaning towards the under.
Yeah, I'm almost leaning towards.
Yeah,
that.
I was going to say that might be high.
I don't think they'll get to double digits. I don't. They might get 8, maybe 9. They not. I don't think they'll get to double digits, and a couple of those will be because of penalties.
Yeah. You know
you got won't because they earned it. Some kind of penalty, automatic first down. And that's what happened.
And I don't know, guys, if it changed later in the week, but as of Tuesday, the over-under for Iowa to score in the first half was 0.5. The over-under for Iowa to score in the second half was 0.5.
Oh, my gosh.
As of Tuesday. I don't know if it changed. But, you know, you talk to guys like us who follow sports, and they all heard the number, and they all talk about it and say, oh, my goodness. You know, if you think about it, guys, don't you have to go with the over? Like, Michigan can fumble and Iowa can pick it up and run 34 yards for a touchdown. That's 7 points, right? I mean, like, you can block a punt. You can have a 68-yard touchdown return on a punt return. I mean, there's numerous ways you can score. So don't you have to try the over on that?
I would think so.
Yeah.
I mean, normally, but I don't know. The way that Iowa plays.
It's interesting.
Well, you never know. Like, what would happen if Michigan has a letdown? Iowa picks up a fumble, early turnover. They get lucky, and they get up 14-0, and then Michigan just can't seem to do anything against that Iowa defense. And say, like, ultimately they hold Michigan to 10 points, and Iowa wins 14-10. What would the committee do? Is Michigan out of it then? Does Ohio State then supersede Michigan and get in? I mean, no one has basically given any case scenario of Michigan losing.
Right.
Correct.
So
Michigan people would say, well, we beat Ohio State last week. It's not like it happened 8 weeks ago. I mean, it's not like it happened in the middle of October.
So what would you do? Maybe just
Pat, you know, Iowa lost the game at home against Minnesota in one of those 15-13.
Yes, they did.
Just like you said, people want to sleep. Just watch games like that. They don't even have to take any medicine.
Right.
And they returned a punt for like 6. They have a really good punt returner. He returned it like 62 yards for a touchdown, but he gave like a weird signal going to the ball, and they interpret that as a fair catch signal.
Right.
And, you know, they went over the rules, and the rule guy came on and said that's the right call, and the crowd booed. And they ended up losing the ball game like 15-13 in Minnesota, like it was October 20th. Kirk Ferenz brought that up last week after they beat Nebraska. You know, he's still mad about it 6 weeks later. And think about this, guys. If that call's not made and Iowa wins that game, Iowa's 11-1 right now. And if they upset Michigan, they could get in the Final Four. Think about that.
Oh, exactly. No, you're exactly right. If that call, if Iowa beats Minnesota, and they change that call, enabling Iowa to win that game, and they would upset Michigan, I don't know how you keep them out of the Final Four.
Yes, because they're not number 15 or 16 right now. They're number 8 or number 9, right around that neighborhood, right around the Alabama territory. And if they would beat Michigan, they're the Big Ten champion with one loss at 12-1. Right? I mean, thank God for that fair catch signal.
Yeah, it is, because right now Iowa's at 16 at the rankings. But if they would have won that game, they're 11-1. You would have to move them up, and you're right. They would probably be at, like you said, 8 or 9.
Right behind Alabama.
Yeah, at 9. Right.
Yep.
With Oregon being eliminated, and then you're mentally up to 8.
Yes.
Knowing that Ohio State's sitting at home, not playing. If you beat Michigan, you could say, we beat Michigan, Ohio State didn't. You got to go right by them. Right?
Mm-hmm.
Just the natural arguments people have.
Yeah, this is going to get, like I said, I'm not sure we could get chalk. I think the only problem or the question is everybody is hoping that Florida State loses because they don't want Florida State anywhere near that Final Four, because they don't want to see a backup quarterback in the Final Four. And Florida State would probably be right now, if this goes chalk, Georgia wins, and wins, Washington's third, they're in. Florida State, they're 4. If this goes, say, chalk, it'll be Georgia playing Florida State, Michigan playing Washington, and no one will really want to watch Georgia and Florida State with a backup quarterback.
Right.
Joe Klatt, guys, who we all like, was on TV the other night, Tuesday or Wednesday, and probably the team most disappointed by Oregon losing last night was probably the Georgia Bulldogs, because he played out a scenario. We all love scenarios. He said, let's suppose all the favorites win. You got to remember, Oregon was a 9.5-point favorite last night over Washington.
Yes, they were.
And all the favorites win today, and Alabama upsets Georgia.
Right.
All the favorites win except Alabama wins because they're not a favorite. He said the Final Four was going to be, he could see a scenario the Final Four was going to be Michigan,
right,
Alabama, because they won the SEC, Texas, because he said you would have to put Texas in the Final Four then because Texas beat Alabama, and that's going to be their first argument. You can't put Alabama and not put us in because we played them in Tuscaloosa when we beat them. And then the 4th spot he thought would be between Oregon, who would be the Pac-12 champion, and Georgia, who has won 29 straight games in a row. And you're not supposed to look at the last 2 years, but they've won back-to-back national champions. They've been number 1 on the polls from day 1 this year, and they've got 29-game winning streak. He thought that 4th spot would be between Georgia and Oregon, and there would be a big argument between those 2 schools. Now that Oregon lost to Washington, Oregon's eliminated. There's no way that they would not take a 13-0 Pac-12 champion in Washington ahead of, and now they would be reclined to take Florida State as well. I mean, he thought the 2 teams, he thought Florida State, he has Florida State at number 8 because they might be starting their 3rd-string quarterback tonight because the backup got a concussion at the end of the game at Florida last week, and he may not play tonight.
That's right. He's a game-time decision.
Yes.
They said. So, but what does Klatt say if Florida State wins? How do they keep them out?
I don't think you can you, Dave?
No,
I don't think so. I mean,
we all agree,
13-0.
13-0.
Agree that if Jordan Travis, their starting quarterback, got hurt 2 weeks ago against North Alabama, broke his leg, unfortunately. It's still terrible for the kid. His career's over now. He's a 6-year senior. If Jordan Travis is healthy, okay, we all expect him. We'd expect him to beat Florida last week in Louisville tonight and be 13-0. They are a very legitimate national title contender with him. They could beat any of those teams. They could beat Georgia, Michigan, Ohio State, Washington, any of those schools.
Right.
Because he's good.
No, you're right. If Jordan Travis was healthy, and they went out, they get in as a Final Four, and that game,
and they could win it just as well as anybody.
Then that game
with him.
Yeah, that opening game with them playing Georgia, say, if this goes chalk, that's a great game because you want to see Jordan Travis and Florida State play Georgia because all of a sudden now that's going to be a pretty good game. But without Jordan Travis, if Florida State goes out and wins tonight, that Florida State-Georgia game is not going to be any good. I'm assuming Georgia wins, but
yeah.
But then, that's the dilemma.
If Florida State wins tonight, they're in. I think we all assume. By putting them 4 on Tuesday, they didn't penalize that injury. I mean, they beat a 5-7 Florida team, and their offense only had 230 yards offense. They didn't look good. But their defense and special teams shined. So basically, they're not going to penalize them for this quarterback thing. We all agree with that, right?
Right. No, I think that's going to be the dilemma. The dilemma is going to be Florida State gets in. I think the worst if Georgia loses and Florida State wins, we assume, and then Michigan wins, Georgia's out.
Should be, yeah. I agree with that.
And people are not going to be real happy if Georgia's sitting at home, or they're going to go to a bowl game, but they're not in the Final Four. They'll be 12-1, but sitting out. They lose to Bama. Florida State wins, Michigan wins, Georgia sits out. And they're out. All of a sudden, they're not in the Final Four this year. And you got a 12-0 Florida team or 13-0 Florida team with, say, a third-string quarterback. Well, I guess the second-string quarterback would be healthy enough to play in the bowl. He would be over the concussion by then, hopefully.
So let's go this scenario, guys. You guys ready? Texas wins the noon game because they're kicking off at noon. Texas wins. Then at 4 o'clock, Alabama upsets Georgia.
Right.
Then 8 o'clock games, Michigan beats Iowa, that we all expect. And Louisville beats Florida State.
Right.
Where are we at then?
Good point. So
mess. That's where
we agree Michigan's in, correct?
Michigan gets in.
We agree Washington's already in. They punched their ticket last night. Washington's 100% in, and we all agree. So you have Michigan, you have Washington. Texas would be in because they'd be the Big 12 champs, 12-1 with the win over Alabama. Okay? And then probably Alabama would be your 4th team, correct?
Yeah, Alabama would get in because they won the SEC.
Yeah.
And Georgia would be out. Yep. Or does the committee want Georgia in so bad they leave Texas out?
That would be correct. And that's the biggest issue they would have is say, well, we played Alabama in Tuscaloosa and we beat Alabama.
Right.
How could you put Alabama in and not put us in?
They say, well, Alabama beat the number 1 team.
Yeah.
They're in and you're out.
Hit the road.
Hit the road.
They might do anything. This is the last year. They might do anything they want to do.
They'd be telling Texas, you're going to be playing in the Astro Bluebonnet Bowl. Or the Weed Eater Bowl.
If you think about records and who teams played this year, et cetera, just based upon 2023, if it ever came down between Georgia and Ohio State would be more deserving to get in the Final Four based upon their 2023 season, who they played during the regular season compared to Georgia. But I don't think the committee would ever do that.
Well, I told Dave this earlier in the show, and I listened to Mad Dog Russo. And Mad Dog said this past week on a show. He said the 4 best teams in the country, this is before Oregon lost, but he said the 4 best teams in the country are Georgia, Michigan, Oregon, and Ohio State. He said they are the 4 best teams, but you're not going to see those 4 teams. Now, he obviously assumed Georgia would beat Washington. But the point is, he basically said, but you're not going to see those 4 teams in the final. He didn't think Ohio State's getting in because there's too much would have to happen that if Texas needs to lose, he thinks Texas is going to win. Texas would supersede Ohio State if they win.
Correct.
Even though right now Ohio State's 6 and Texas is 7, Texas would jump Ohio State because they won, and Ohio State obviously.
I think 99% of Ohio State fans I know assume that exact same thing.
Right.
That even though those polls came out, that was a nice way of saying we're going to drop you 4 spots for losing, but unfortunately you're not playing another game this weekend.
Right.
The other 7 schools are. The kids in school, I put stuff and I give scenarios and we have fun with it. They're 16 years old. They pay attention.
Oh, yeah.
That's their number 1 dilemma is they're not playing this weekend. That's the biggest bugaboo is you're not playing. The other 7 schools are.
Yeah. And that's because
we all say who the 4 best teams are. Let me tell you guys, the last 2 years, Oregon and Washington, like you said last night, Pat, have given us damn good football games. Right? They played 3 times in 2 years, and Washington beat Oregon 3 times by 3 points.
Yes.
Right? Were you not entertained last? I was entertained.
That game last night, I'd love to see that game again.
Yeah, exactly.
That game last night, Oregon and Washington, was one of the best college games this year.
Correct. And one of the best ones was when they played 8 weeks ago up in Seattle.
Yeah, that was another great game. That was a fantastic game to watch, and so was the game last night. And I guess it also helped Michael Penix maybe get back into the Heisman conversation because he had kind of dipped out.
Yeah.
Does he get back in that conversation? But the point is, now you're looking at quarterbacks and then we're going to get into the draft this year. Now all of a sudden, I think Michael Penix really helped his draft stock. Bo Nix played a great game. He didn't hurt his draft stock at all.
Right.
And some people think he's going to be the 3rd quarterback taken. First Caleb Williams, then May out of Carolina, and then Bo Nix maybe 3rd. And now now you have Jay Daniels from LSU.
I actually think the Heisman.
He may be
played
the
for LSU.
Heisman, and he might be the second guy taken.
That dude is dynamic.
Because he's absolutely like lightning. So you've got all these. These are going to be teams. Oh yeah, we didn't even get to Frank Reich getting fired yet because we didn't think he was. Well, we figured he was a one and done.
Yeah.
We're not shocked he got
We just
fired.
thought it was going to be on Black Monday.
Right. We didn't wait. Tepper didn't wait, which I'm not surprised.
Yeah. A lot of things came out about Temper. They said maybe he'll coach the team. They say he is something.
He's a piece of work.
Yeah.
There's no doubt, but we digress. But getting back to college here, bottom line is when you break this thing down, you've got an absolute quagmire potentially on your hands working this out today. This, depending how these games go. And Buckeye fans really have to hope that Texas loses and Florida State loses.
Yeah.
Then they may get in.
They may get in there.
And just think about this real quick, because you're talking about that Texas game, Pat, at noon that kicks off in a couple hours. Last week, Oklahoma State had to win to get in the Big 12 championship game today.
Right.
They were playing at home, and they were a 14-point favorite to win over BYU, and BYU was winning 95% of that game.
Yeah.
And then they had to go to overtime to win that game.
They won 40.
BYU upset Oklahoma State. Looked like last week. It looked like it was going to happen. Then you'd be talking today at noon about an Oklahoma-Texas rematch.
And Oklahoma beat them
That might have been
already.
better for Texas in regards to a higher-ranked opponent, a team you lost to 8 weeks ago down in Dallas. They get a rematch and win. But we all know that Oklahoma is much more capable of beating Texas than probably Oklahoma State. Is that a fair argument?
Yeah, not close. Not close. Hey, let's go ahead and get
one of those games that people don't follow, and say, "Oh, I didn't know that." I was telling the guys at the lunch table that, and they're like, "Oh man!" I go, "I knew that the whole game last week." I said, "If BYU pulls off this upset, now we have an Oklahoma-Texas rematch."
Yeah,
right.
And of course, we all think Oklahoma, because Oklahoma State's more one-dimensional than Oklahoma is.
Right.
And with that, let's go ahead and let's get to the games. Oklahoma State versus Texas. They're playing down in Jerry World, and it's Texas minus 15 is the number. So Texas laying minus 15. What do you think, Irish Mike?
I'll take Oklahoma State plus 15. I think Texas will win the game, but I'll take the 15 points.
Dave Clark. What do you
15
think?
points to Oklahoma State.
Yeah, 15 points.
Yeah, I'm gonna try that too.
So you want the OSU?
Yeah, I'm gonna try them too. I don't know if I should, but I think I'll give it a shot.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's a lot of wood, as they say.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's go with the.
I think we all agree Steve Sarkisian's under a lot of pressure today. This is a game he's got to win, guys.
Yeah,
If he
so
wins,
let's
he's
do
in.
this.
He's got a great shot at being in, but he better win.
All right. I'll be the downer. I'll take Texas and lay the 15. I really don't want to, but we'll give it a shot. Georgia at versus Bama. They're playing this in the Mercedes-Benz. This is the big game. Plus 4.5. So Bama is getting 4.5.
I'm gonna still
Georgia,
take Georgia.
laying 4.5.
Until
Bama.
they're beaten, I'm just taking them. I'm taking Georgia.
Irish Mike.
You know what? I mean,
see, this could be a field goal either way, too. This is
2 weeks ago, New Mexico State went to Auburn, beat Auburn by 3 touchdowns on their home field.
Right.
I realize it was a rivalry game, but Alabama, everyone talked about how good they got, and then last week they played a stinker, and they were very, very fortunate to win.
Right.
Auburn's prevent defense was horrible at the end of the game. I'm going to go with Georgia by a touchdown. I'll take the Bulldogs.
Okay, Georgia. I'll take Georgia, too, and lay the 4.5. Although I've got a bad feeling this could be the field goal either way, but I think Georgia. I think
I can see
Bama.
Alabama winning too. Wouldn't surprise me for 1 second.
No, I threw this one in there just because we needed the game. SMU at Tulane. -3. Tulane lays 3 points to an SMU team coming in
Tulane.
to visit.
I'll take Tulane.
Mm-hmm. Me too.
Yeah, I'll take Tulane. Okay, here's the big game we're going to really have to consider. Michigan, Iowa playing at Lucas plus 22.
And this is conference championship.
Yes.
Oh my God.
Here's the question: if Ohio State was on the other side of if Ohio State they stuck them in the West or Michigan in the West, you'd have another rematch of the game.
Correct.
Yeah.
You don't have that. You'd be a better game because you'd see people be upset. Well, you'd have to replay Ohio State Michigan game, but I think people would rather see that than this game.
The Big 12 switched their rules 3 or 4 years ago.
Yes.
After the Pac-12, we won our 2 best teams playing in the conference championship games. And the Big Ten fell behind, and we wanted to do this East-West crap.
Right.
And this is the game you get now because the Big Ten West is awful. Let's emphasize that.
Well,
the Big Ten West is awful.
It's terrible.
We're going to put USC and all them in there, I guess.
Right. That was Oregon, Washington, USC, UCLA. That conference.
They'll be in that side.
They're going to be on that side of the bracket.
Well, that will help a great deal. Because that bracket has been terrible for years. Oh, man. Give me...
So... Anyway, the question is today:
winning this is
Iowa can basically Michigan cover the 22 points?
They can unless they're just down.
Unless they're flat.
If they're flat, that's the only way.
If they come in with the bad case of the flats and they can't get motivated, and Iowa gets lucky, and Michigan wins 10-7 or 14-7. That could happen, or 17-7. I could see that.
I could see that happening like that
because it's just because and Michigan get motivated to play these guys, and I could see them getting up, and then just Iowa's defense just gets real tough, but then Iowa's offense could do nothing, or you're going to get a game where it's like 10-0 at half, and the Iowa defense is just out there so long. The second half, Michigan basically runs away with it, wears them down, and wins 35-3. I could see 35-3 or 35-7 on this game.
Michigan, I don't care.
I'll
give them the 22. I
would play Penn State and Happy Valley in late September, and Penn
Give them
State
29.
31-0 Happy Valley.
Yeah,
Penn State's offense is really good. We all agree on that. And this is.
I've never seen
they
that
talk
like
about
this.
Iowa's defense. This is the best offense they're going to play all year. Tonight is Michigan's.
Yeah.
Right.
This is sad.
Got a good offense.
That defensive talent
is the best offense
wasted.
Iowa's going to play.
This is a couple years.
Penn
Their
State
defense has
did
been great.
like you said, Irish Mike, what Penn State did to Iowa earlier in the year.
And if you've seen that game at the beginning, it was tough.
It was tough.
Just for about a quarter.
Right.
And then over.
Oh, yeah. I could see Iowa hanging around for a quarter and a half because their defense will allow them to.
Right.
Yep.
So I don't think it's going to come out right away and say, wow, Michigan's be up 21-0 in the first quarter. I don't see that.
But if they do, let's
Lights
look
out,
at the
party's
70s. 70-something. 70 spot. Oh, my goodness. I'm not watching that. Watch paint dry.
That's about what I'm going to take Michigan and lay the points.
Penn State 3 weeks ago in Happy Valley. Remember, didn't they run the ball like 32 straight times in a row?
Yeah.
And it was the idea of we don't have to try to play offense. We can punt the ball and still win the game in Happy Valley against Penn State's offense. That's what they're going to do tonight. They're not going to do anything crazy. They're going to say, if we have to punt, we got to punt. We don't think their offense can drive 75 yards.
Right.
That's what they did to Penn State.
Yeah.
The Jim Tressel theory. The punt's the most important thing in the game.
Yeah.
Don't turn it over. Nothing crazy. Just punt.
So what do you think?
I'm going to go with Michigan.
Yeah.
Dave Clark?
Yeah, I already said Michigan.
All right.
Yeah.
Here's the last game of the evening.
Who'd you take, Pat? You take Michigan or Iowa?
Yeah, I took Michigan. I can't take Iowa. I'm sorry. They might, I could lose. Hey, last week I was 2-7. Dave Clark was 5-4. Dave Clark, congratulations. You got it last week. Irish Mike, you were 3-6. I was 2-7.
Brutal.
Yeah. The one thing with doing these games, there's no skill in this. This is, in my eyes, there's no skill, and this is pure luck. All of it is. Even the NFL, God, believe me, that's luck. But moving on, Louisville, Florida State, 1.5. Louisville gets 1.5. This is almost a dead even match.
This is
playing at Charlotte, North Carolina, Bank America, where the Panthers play. The team could probably beat the Panthers. At least they have a coach. But anyway, I digress. Louisville, Florida, 1.5. Louisville gets 1.5 here. Florida was probably with a third-string quarterback, but that has not been determined. It's a game-time decision. If the backup,
I'll tell you guys this: Florida State is a very veteran-laden team. Obviously, losing a quarterback to each other, a broken leg.
Yeah, that defense is something.
Hopes because they could have won it with him. But They're very veteran-laden, a lot of 5th and 6th year seniors, a very good defense.
Yeah.
So I'm still going to take Florida State.
Me too.
Yeah.
Because they might force Plummer to turn the ball over.
Correct, Dave Clark. Correct.
All right. I'll be the outlier because there's no skill in this. I'll take Louisville in 1.5. That's what I'll do. I might change my Texas pick to OSU. That's 15 and point.
I thought I just seen Michigan score. I thought I just seen it just now.
Yeah, Michigan. Oh gosh.
Oh, I don't want to see that thing.
No, I don't know.
That's the 8 o'clock game,
8 o'clock. Got two games at 8 o'clock.
Is Louisville,
Florida State.
That's the one I'm watching.
And Michigan and Iowa. The other 8 o'clock. Two 8 o'clocks today.
So.
There's the music.
Hey, Dave, have a great weekend. Thanks for
Thanks, Irish Mike, for the call. Halftime, Saturday morning sports page. You got to get the NFL and Frank Reich. Pat Lucia, Dave Clark.
Frank Reich outside.
You're listening to Western Reserve Radio, WRDB, The Scourge, a part of the Sports Map Radio Network.
Mill Creek Golf Course has been the Valley's leader for golfing fun since 1928. It features 36 challenging holes designed by the legendary Donald Ross and was voted a top 30 municipal facility by Golf Week in 2012. The Mill Creek Golf Shop is a certified Callaway Golf custom fitting center and is stocked with your favorite golf apparel and accessory. Mill Creek Golf Course is now booking tee times for this year's golf season. Please call us at 330-740-7112 or online at millcreekmetroparks.org.
Jesse's Dairy Cove is a hometown favorite, located at 3743 State Route 46, across from the gazebo in Mineral Ridge. Enjoy all of your favorite ice cream. We have over 32 hard scoop and over 40 soft serve favorites. We also have a large food menu, including homemade chili sauce, sloppy joes, pulled pork, fresh cut french fries, and mac and cheese. This fall, we'll start our homemade cookie and party trays. Visit our website at jessesdairycove.com to see our menu. At Jesse's Dairy Cove, we appreciate your business.
With over 30 years of experience, Madurix Butcher Block in Mineral Ridge is a quality-driven company focused on great personal service. Our fresh meats are of the finest cut. We make a variety of burgers, sausages, and a full line of deli meats. Using our own smokehouse, we prepare different types of jerky, snack sticks, kibasi, bacon, hot dogs, and bone-in hams. When your tummy needs some relief, call 652-BEEF. That's 330-652-2333. Catch all of the spring and summer action of Cleveland Cobras minor league football on Western Reserve Radio. Follow the Cobras as they compete against teams from around the region in pursuit of a Tri-Point Football League championship. And if you're looking to continue your football career after high school, college, or even the pros, or to be part of the Cobras staff, go to Facebook at Cleveland Cobras Football or contact owner Jesse Caldwell at 330-416-3442. Be a part of the excitement of Cleveland Cobras football.
Saturday morning sports page right back at you. Pat Lucia, Dave Clark. Saturday sports page, halftime, third quarter, doing it at the Gessler Studios here in Struthers, Ohio, 330-707-4202. That's the Gessler Propane Studios. Just in case you need to get propane gas, this is the place to come. Anyway, as we motor through this crazy weekend for college football, we got to get to the pros. Frank Reich, well, a couple observations on Ohio State. I personally thought that interception he threw in the first quarter, the quarterback Ohio State threw, he threw that ugly interception in the first quarter. I don't know where he was throwing the ball to.
Well, he was throwing the inside shoulder.
But it was to no, but yeah, Harrison was so covered.
He didn't see him. He didn't see that receiver.
Oh my God!
That's when you play and I'm sure Jim will know about that. Cover two, but you hide your corner on the short side of the field. So he's just laying in the weeds, as they say. He's just laying there. You don't see him. You look at your progressions, and you got to throw to the inside shoulder away from the corner that's in the inside of the field. And that's what he did. But he didn't see the guy laying in the weeds and went straight to, he just jumped it. And that's just what happens.
He jumped that so early.
Oh, yeah. He didn't see him. He was already released it. He was on it.
Oh.
You're not going to see that in that zone coverage. That was a perfect defensive call. Perfect.
Yeah. That, to me, when they handed Michigan that ball that far deep and then Michigan scored the touchdown, I had an extremely bad feeling they would be chasing that 7 points the whole game.
Yeah.
And they were. And here's the deal with Michigan. You knew that was going to be a very competitive game, tight game, equally matched teams. You can't give, in a game like that, there is no room for error. You can't have turnovers. Michigan had 0 turnovers. Ohio State had the 2 turnovers at the end of the game. And granted, the one at the fourth quarter was iffy. I mean, I know he was trying to make the play. He was getting hit, and he underthrew it.
Yeah,
okay. I'm not as critical of that interception as that first one is because I thought he was trying to force that ball to Marvin Harrison. I thought because he was desperate, they were trying to make a play. They had that desperation because it was a grind. There was 3 and out. Both teams were 3 and out, and they wanted to make something happen. And when he threw that ball, I knew, gosh, I don't know what it was. As soon as he threw it, I said, that's going to be bad. And sure enough, they show the replay, and it was horrendous. But I thought that interception and that 7 points they handed Michigan that early in the game was something that they chased the whole game. And even when they tied them up, then Ohio State's defense, I think, was gassed in that second half, especially the fourth quarter. Then Michigan dominated, but Ohio State defense did hold them to when Ohio State tied at 24-24, the defense for Ohio State could not really get a stop. However, the Ohio State defense did hold Michigan to 3 points on 2 occasions, but Michigan took up all that clock in getting that 6 points, and that also did seal Ohio State's fate. The defense could not get that stop and get Ohio State's offense back out on the field.
Yeah, well, I'm telling you, when I seen that play and they showed it over and over, I said, that is a Mike McDonald special, who's now the Baltimore Ravens defensive coordinator, used to be Michigan. That's a pro call to have the guy cover 2, play the inside corner, and then have him play on the outside, which makes him look like he's going to be a deep safety, but he's not. He's going to come up and just lay in the weeds. He just lays there. He just lays. So if any out pattern, he could jump it. But the quarterback's not going to see him in his progressions because they're quick, right across the horn. So was Marvin Harrison open against that corner that was on him? Yes. But he didn't see the guy in the weeds. And you got to throw towards the sideline.
Right, he threw the other way.
No, but he threw it to the sideline. Remember, he jumped it from the outside in. He didn't get it from the inside out. He threw it from the outside. That's where you should throw it, away from the defense. But he didn't know that guy's laying in the weeds. And when he threw it, he jumped the route. And you just, he came, from that back end and just came and got it. That's looked like, I don't know if that defensive coordinator took over. Was he on Michigan's staff last year? He may have been.
Right.
And just, learned a lot from him because he definitely did use that. And you don't see a lot of college teams use that kind of formation or those type of things. I see it in some teams. You'll see it at Alabama because of Saban, knowing the program, doing some things, some trickery there of using it. That was a perfect defensive call. And see, and a play like that, you can't make mistakes, but I'm not going to blame it on that one because that was so early in the game. That's at the beginning of the game. And if you're a top team, you may be able to weather that storm and come back. And they stayed there. They stayed within range, but that was just a team. I will say that Michigan dominated the clock and was able to control the clock a lot, and that's what really, really did it.
That's what did them in the second half. I knew I had a bad feeling when they lost, when they gave that 7 points up to Michigan, because Michigan was so good and wasn't going to turn. I said, unless Michigan turns the ball over and gives Ohio State a layup, then I'd say they could offset that. But knowing Michigan's defense, and Harbaugh's put a great team together, let's face it. Bottom line is, I felt because of, and I thought Ohio State all in all was up to the task and played them better this year than last year, certainly.
Yeah.
And the defense overall played okay, but they couldn't get that stop in the second half. But that size of that Michigan State offensive line wore that team down. And I think that really helped Michigan control the ball in the second half, especially that fourth quarter. They don't have any room for error. And when you give a team like Michigan a quick 7 points, you're in trouble. And I had a bad feeling they were never, and they couldn't. They just seemed to never get over that hump. And then they finally did tie them at 24-24.
Yeah.
But then that defense, I think, was gassed. And that then Michigan dominated the line of scrimmage in the fourth quarter.
And that's why I said they won the game, because I looked at if they were not able to come back. See, that's what I looked at. They came all the way back and tied that game. So they was there, but they didn't have nothing left. I mean, they took it to them physically.
I would look at it this way. Ohio State needed that 7 point cushion. They needed the 7 point cushion there because I think that at the back, I thought that they would need that 7 point cushion in order to take that, because Michigan was going to come after them in the second, especially in the fourth quarter. Michigan was going to come after them. They needed something. They needed a cushion. They didn't have that cushion. And they would have needed that 7 point cushion. And I think ultimately, I know that's short-sighted, where people say, well, the game itself played out. I said, yeah, but when you're playing a team as good as Michigan, you just don't have any room for error. And Michigan had no turnovers and offensively played a pretty solid game. Not a great game, but they played a good game. And in that fourth quarter, though, I do have to admit that Ohio State not getting a stop defensively ultimately did. But they didn't give Michigan touchdowns. They did hold them to 3 points on both occasions. But they were down that, I swear. I wanted that 7 points back so bad. I kept looking at it. I go, boy, you could use that now because you would have needed it. Well,
or if they would have been able to stop them not getting in the end zone, because he didn't score on interception. So keep him out of the end zone, force him to a field goal only.
Yeah, but that's what they were like inside the 10 when they
but I mean, we didn't see them do it before. They have done it. They've done it before.
I just didn't think they were going to be able. I was not surprised. They almost did it, but I wasn't really surprised that Michigan scored on that fourth down and won.
They struggled to get.
They did struggle. They made them earn it. I will give the defense a lot of props. They made them earn it. That 7, but I thought that interception was such a backbreaker. It was early in the game. It's just something that I felt it was going to carry. And unfortunately, the Buckeyes now, only problem with Kyle McCord, we've been spoiled with Justin Fields and Stroud. Yeah. Kyle McCord is an okay quarterback, but he's not. Now maybe he'll develop and be better next year. You have to hope. You're a Buckeye fan. Yeah. You hope that he is much better next year than he is this year. I'm not sure he's going to be. What disappointed me this year with Kyle McCord, I just never thought they utilized Marvin Harrison. I mean, his ability to throw the ball down the field, I just didn't think they threw the ball down the field like Stroud was able to. I mean, all right, Marvin wasn't with Fields, but with the way Stroud would throw down the field to Marvin Harrison, McCord just couldn't utilize Harrison quite on that level.
Well, I'm not going to blame that on McCord at all, because if you're not going deep, that is not his call. He's the quarterback getting the plays in.
Well, then that would fall then on Dave.
Whoever.
Or the old coordinator.
Yeah, it falls because they're not as trustworthy going down the field as they was with Stroud. Was a veteran too. I mean, when you say veteran,
right? He was the second year, right?
And you feel that a lot more comfortable with him. You've seen it his first year how he was. He was good then, and then he had command in his second year. So they would do anything. They didn't stop Stroud from doing anything. He'd throw across the field.
No, he did everything he wanted to.
And whereas you get this guy, this is his first year, I seen that they their reins was on him a lot tighter in the early part of the year than it was this latter part. They started to let him throw more down the field, but not enough. Yeah, and I think you should. I think you should not only throw to Marvin Harrison, he could be a great decoy, and you can hit the guys underneath who can definitely run patterns too. I mean, you had some good other receivers, and I just think that they didn't utilize their total offense. Every time it was for a big throw, most of the time, I'm going to say 90% of the time, it's going to Harrison. Whereas before you had, with Stroud, you had all kind of guys that could. I mean, you had Harrison, you had, Enigma. You had everybody. You had all kinds of guys that was involved, and he would use them all, along with his tight end. So, I just think that they haven't went to the full range of the whole route tree of letting everybody and letting the quarterback just letting it go, and that might be a difference next year. That they'll see hey, you got to let him go now. He done went through all of it. He should have been let go before that, though. But you can see they put a harness on that. They do not go down the field enough. They just don't.
Well, I
think they can with other receivers, not just with Harrison. I think they can go with others.
Well, you've got when you break down the Ohio State receivers, obviously Marvin Harrison being by far the best one, but then you've got Mbukwa, who also was very good. I just thought they never utilized.
They don't use him enough.
They didn't utilize him enough.
There's another guy, not Coleman.
He's 4. Got Tate. He's a freshman. He's number 11. He's like 6'4", about 210 pounds. I have to look up, but Tate.
But
he was coming off the bench, and he's very good too. But I just thought that I felt all year long. I just never thought they utilized the wide receivers to their fullest ability. And maybe it's because they didn't think that Kyle McCord had the arm strength or the confidence to throw it downfield. But Kyle McCord and Marvin Harrison played together in high school, so it wasn't like
he has arm. He has arm.
He had an arm, but why all year long I kept waiting, and then in the Michigan game I would have at least with Marvin Harrison, I can guarantee you're going to get interference called a lot. Because bottom line is you could see even the one great catch he had, they interfered. I mean, those guys can't guard him. Right. And I was like to the point, why don't you throw the ball down the field to Marvin Harrison, and you're going to probably get a pass interference call because there is no way anybody can guard him. And they just didn't seem to throw it down enough. And then Harrison sometimes makes the catch anyway after the guy's tackled and held on to him. I mean, he's made catches with guys draped all over him. Right. And that's what I was saying. I was just saying I never thought as great. Marvin Harrison, to me, is probably, he's going to be he's going to be a top 5 pick, no doubt, coming out. And he's obviously going to come out after this year. If Ohio State does not get in the playoff, then I think Harrison is not playing in a bowl game. I'm certainly not playing if I'm Marvin Harrison. Right. I'm not playing in any bowl game that means nothing. I'm going to the NFL, and I don't blame him.
Right.
Because you don't want to have a blown ACL or an Achilles or something, bull injury that you're going to be like,
right.
My career now is in jeopardy. So unless they get to the Final Four, then I'm sure he'll play. But the whole point of it with Ohio State, then we'll get to the NFL, is I just thought during the year especially, I thought they would be grooming the game where they'd have more confidence in throwing the ball downfield to Harris. And then that way, especially leading up to the Michigan game, that would be your go-to play. Because nobody can guard him.
Yeah, even though Michigan, what they were playing was something to take away the deep ball with that cover 2. And you got the 2 safeties deep. It takes away throwing deep into coverage. So they had that, but you still had to take some shots. But I'm looking at the games before that. They still didn't throw down the field all the time. So
I never thought they were throwing the ball that
well. That's my quarterback. I mean, I can understand early in the season, but as time go, it's time to take the reins off.
Right.
Let him just wing it.
Let it go.
That's what Harbaugh did with McCarthy. Once he put him in there At first, you seen he didn't do a lot. He did short passes, let him run. Then all of a sudden, he just let him go. He's just throwing it all over the field. You make a mistake, that's how you learn, though. And I don't know why they don't let him do it, because I could see he got the arm strength to do it. But, I don't know. They didn't have the confidence in him as they did
with Stroud.
And I definitely understood Stroud. But they even showed more confidence in Fields.
Oh, yeah.
Letting him throw,
well, speaking of Fields, you've just opened up the door to the NFL. Not to beat the dead horse with Ohio State, but open up the door to the NFL and Justin Fields. Monday night's game, I know people are now basically saying that Justin Fields will probably be traded, that it looks like Chicago has the Carolina pick. Mm-hmm. And obviously we'll talk a little bit more about Carolina and their coaching and their owner and Tepper and all that. But focus a little bit on Fields, NFL. It looks like that at the end of the day that people believe that the Chicago Bears are going to move on from Justin Fields because they will probably draft either Caleb Williams or Drake May. Mm-hmm. And then they reset the contract.
Yeah.
Because Fields' contract, they've got to decide if they're going to pick up the 5th year or not, where now they'll get the reset of the contract. You go back to the rookie contract. If you say draft, we'll say they're going to get the number 1 pick because Carolina's, 1 in 10, and they have Carolina's pick. So Chicago will probably have the number 1 pick in this draft. They take Caleb Williams, and then do you think they will ultimately trade Justin Fields? If they take Caleb Williams, obviously they're going to move on to Fields. However, there are a lot of teams interested in Justin Fields out there.
Oh, yeah.
There's a lot. The New York Giants are rumored to be very interested in him.
It'd be a whole bunch. He's a young quarterback. I don't care who the quarterback is. If he's that young, they're going to give him an opportunity to go somewhere else and see if he can get better in the pro game. Now, if he's an older guy, 28, 29 years old, and he's still playing at that level that he's doing, that might not be as radiant after.
Right.
But this is a young guy that's only played, his 4 years? Will be his 4th year? I think he's been NFL 3 years, I think. Now, I might be wrong on that, but I'm thinking this is his 3rd NFL season.
It sounds like it would be, I think Fields has been in the league 4 years.
Okay, and then it could be
3 years.
3 years.
I'm sorry, yeah, it's 3 years.
3 years. So he's relatively young. He's probably 24 years old, 25. Yeah, you definitely teams going to.
Yeah, he's 24. Fields is 24.
That's like getting a rookie, and now you can see if you can work with him. Now will he be put on a team that he got to go right in and start? I think he needs to sit behind somebody and learn, because you could see that he's not up to the standard of the NFL game.
Well,
but he's going to make big plays just because of his overall talent, athleticism. He's going to do that. But he just does some things you could see that it's got to be corrected. And it can be. He's young.
He's in his 3rd year. His his overall completion rate is 61%. He's thrown for almost 5,700 yards. This is his career. He's got 36 touchdowns, 27 interceptions. This year he's got 12 touchdowns and 6 interceptions. He did bring the Chicago Bears down, made the big pass to win the game on Monday night. Do you think, though, I know this maybe is not related, but it might be related. I've watched Chicago Bears play. Since they got Montez Sweat from Washington and that defense, I think that not only has the team played better, I think the defense is playing better. I kind of think Justin Fields is starting to play a little bit better.
Yeah. I know
he's got some rough edges.
Yeah, he makes bad decisions in unopportune time. That's really what stands out.
He has some
percentage is good. It's when you make bad decisions in big moments.
Right.
Those things, you could just do 4 of those, and the rest of it has been great. Those things stand out when they're in big moments. and that can land you on the bench.
I think they've said that they've got, rumor has it, I love rumors, that there are 10 NFL teams that are willing, that want him, that want to trade for him.
Well, just think of any team that
look at your quarterback play now. Look at all the backup. But really think if I was an NFL team and I see Justin Fields out, some of that team, Chicago's offensive line wasn't that great, especially when he started when he was at 22 years old, his rookie season. He was running for his life a lot. We saw a lot of that, and he was young quarterback. He seems to, I think he looks like he's playing better now. He had a rough game Monday night, but the great thing, he made the play when he needed to, and he got them down the field to kick the field goal. Chicago's going to be a funny team because with their defense getting Montez Sweat in, it's going to help the offensive side of the ball. And it's going to be interesting to see how they play out the rest of this season. Just like I said, I'm going to like to see, ultimately, they look like they're going to move on from Fields, but I want to know where he lands because I think there's going to be a lot of teams wanting to trade for him.
Yeah, all you got to do is look at teams that need quarterbacks or had injury or big things that happen. They're going to be interested. That's just normal, and he's young. But he's not going to, I can't see him like with Buffalo or Kansas City look at him. No. Absolutely not. But you can look at the other teams. With the Jets, yes.
Potentially the
Patriots with yes.
The Jets,
you could go on and on.
If the Patriots don't end up with one of these quarterbacks, because the Patriots might be one of the worst teams in the league with Carolina, then they will probably have the second pick overall. The Patriots, Belichick may not even be their coach. That's maybe where Kraft goes out, brings in the offensive guru or something, and they look to draft maybe Drake May or Caleb Williams, depending on what the Bears ultimately do.
Yeah. But, those are the places. He can end up in a lot of different places that would take him.
The Giants have a year left with Daniel Jones.
But they would take him.
I think the Giants would take him in a New York minute, especially New York minute. Bottom line is you got Daniel Jones coming off an ACL.
Yeah.
He should be ready sometime middle part of next season, but ACLs are funny.
Right.
They have a year left on his contract, a lot of money, but do they make the trade?
I think them in Washington could always look. Sam Howell's okay, but you never know.
Right.
If Philly's not going to look, Dallas is not going to look.
No.
They don't need to look. But you could go down the line. You go over another division. Minnesota,
Kirk Cousins coming off.
Well, I think he's not going to be back there anyway.
No, I agree with you.
Even if he was not injured, I don't think he's coming back to Minnesota. Somebody's going to get him right away. So those are teams that's going to be
okay. Let's go down real quick. Miami, no.
Nope.
Buffalo, no. The Jets they have Rodgers for one more year.
Yeah, that's why they still do it.
Will they yes. New England. Probably not because they're going to be in a position to draft one of these younger quarterbacks. So, throw them. The Ravens, no. The Steelers, I don't know. The Steelers,
I don't know.
I don't know. I put them as a question mark because at the end of the day, you don't know with Pickett and the way he plays. I wouldn't be shocked
even though he looked better with the offense
with a new offensive coordinator
going to his strengths. He looked like a
even
NFL
though they only scored 16 points.
Yeah,
he still looked better.
His throws and what he was doing look a whole lot better.
The Cleveland Browns know. The Bengals know. The Jags know. The Colts probably not. They have Richardson. He'll be back. No Texans know because they've got Stroud. The Titans, I don't know. They've got Levis.
They got Levis, but I don't know if they totally sold on Levis.
I'm not sold, so leave them. They could be a big question mark.
Yep.
So at the end of the day, when you start breaking, and then you got Chiefs, no, Broncos,
just
probably.
The Raiders, only one.
Raiders, yes.
Yeah.
I would say, I would think the Raiders would make a move to get him.
Yeah, they could.
The Chargers, no. Eagles, no. Cowboys, no. Giants, definitely yes. I'm a Giant fan. I would love to have Justin Fields. Okay. Commanders, potentially yes. Sam Howell, we don't know. Lions, no. Vikings, yes. Packers, probably not. Because I think, they're going to hang with Love. He's coming around. The Bears obviously move on. Okay. The Falcons, yes.
Yeah, it's possible.
The Saints, maybe, yes. The Tampa Bay, definitely. Tampa Bay Buccaneers, definitely, because you don't have a quarterback. I mean, Baker Mayfield, one and done. I think Tampa Bay might make the move to get him. Carolina, probably not, because you've got San Francisco, probably not. Seattle, maybe, because Geno's got 1 year left, and who knows what's going to happen. Geno not playing good this year. Seattle could be a potential. The Rams, probably not. And the Cardinals may deal with a draft pick because depending on what Kyler Murray does or doesn't do.
Yeah, they got a lot of choices. And going back to New England, they could, if they feel that they could use, if they think he can really work out for them, and they can use that early pick for some other things.
That could be a potential.
Yeah, that's stuff too. So.
Right. See, the teams are going to have to look at, is Drake May or Caleb Williams better than Justin Fields, or do I take Justin Fields because he's got 4 years and we can develop him a little bit better? Get the rough edges figured. Pat Lucia, Dave Clark, we have the NFL picks to get to. Timeout after this.
Meludic Live is your home for high school sports. We have all the scores on our social media platforms throughout the games. Enjoy our timely updates from local area schools year-round. You won't get the consistency and reliability from anyone else. Our number one priority is servicing our fans and getting them live news as it's happening. Follow us on social media, Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Meludic_live. And remember, our fans come first.
Sandrock Concrete specializes in all types of concrete, driveways, sidewalks, basements, and garages. We also do stamp-colored concrete in many different designs. We do interior and exterior stonework, regular brick and block work. Sandrock Concrete is fully insured. Call Jerry Sandrock at 330-506-0013 for an estimate. Also find them on Facebook at Sandrock Concrete LLC. Sandrock Concrete, where you deal with the owner all the time.
Experience nature's bounty with Creation's Backyard. Elevate your health with the most nutrient-dense foods on earth. From farm to table, sustainably cultivated with care. Grown locally in Niles, Ohio with no chemicals or synthetics ever. Unlock your culinary creativity with Creation Backyard Microgreens. Convenient local delivery and pickup options available. Order now at creationsbackyard.com or call 330-282-7208.
Let's be real. The odds of a high school athlete getting a college scholarship and making it to the pros are pretty slim. Don't get me wrong. It's okay to dream of becoming a pro athlete, even a famous one. But that's not why I play. My reason why? I love the competition.
My reason why is community. My reason why is leadership.
My reason why is to challenge myself.
My reason why is love for the game.
And hey, if we don't make it to the pros or onto the cover of Sports Illustrated, that's okay, because there's every reason to believe we'll excel in something even bigger than sports. We'll excel in life.
There are lots of great reasons to play high school sports. Tell us your reason using the hashtag #MyReasonWhy.
This message presented by the NFHS and the Ohio High School Athletic Association.
Saturday Morning Sports page, Pat Lucia, Dave Clark coming back. We did a real quick calculation of the teams potentially in the Justin Fields sweepstakes, providing the Chicago Bears have decided to move on from him, which I think right now I would probably, what would you put that, about a 70% chance they would?
Yeah,
or is that too high?
What, to trade him?
Yeah. Would you think it at 70 or
If they got the first pick, I think he's traded because I just don't think I don't know if they'll bring Eberflus back.
Well, that's the thing,
You
and
know.
here's the thing:
who drafted Fields? He didn't draft him.
No, and neither did this GM.
Right, so he's not.
No,
tied
this
to them.
GM is not.
They're gonna want a guy that's their guy.
They mentioned that Monday night.
Yeah.
They talked about it Monday night, and they said that this GM, the Chicago current GM, did not draft Fields.
Right.
So potentially, if they do, we need to move on from the coach. I think there's a probably higher than 90% chance that they probably move on from Fields, because especially if they could get. My other question is, what do you think they can get for Fields? Probably they get a second rounder for him.
Yeah, they may.
I would think so. Like if I'm a fan, like I've seen Fields play.
Yeah.
I know he's kind of got, he's got some rough edges, but I see the ability to run and talent, and he does make some good throws. I think if you get him in a different system with a different coach, I think he could really do well. Like I could see him, like the San Francisco 49ers, I think Kyle Shanahan would love to have him. He doesn't need him because he's got, he's going to Darnold the backup, but he's got Purdy.
Yeah.
But when you look at Justin Fields, you can get him on the right team. He moves around in the pocket. You can get him to be a pretty good quarterback. You could see some glimpse of ability to throw the ball down the field, the receivers. I think the problem is he doesn't identify open receivers right away. He runs a little bit too much.
Yeah.
But I think if you could get a good offensive coordinator to work with him, I think you've got ability, to really develop into a really good quarterback. So I think you could probably get a second rounder. If I'm a team and I'm a Giant fan, if the Giants could get him for a second round pick, I'd sign up for it tomorrow.
Yeah, you got to remember those second round picks and all. They're money slots.
Yeah,
and it might not match up. So that's what I'm saying. They may. I think when you said third rounder, I think that might be possible.
Right.
The
thing you always have in the NFL is, we've talked about this, is the quarterback desperation.
Yeah, but it's different in the draft than it is with that, because it messes with cap money.
Yeah.
The question, you might not want to do that.
You could get, if you get Fields though, you could give him the 5th year on the contract, because he's still on that rookie deal.
Yeah.
And he's in the 3rd year. You have to decide if you want to keep him for the 5th year. You trade him, you have the 4th year slotted in. Then you could get him and say, all right, we're going to give him the 5th year on the contract.
Yeah.
So I got him for 2 years.
Yeah, but I think they could get him for a third round. I think they can get that.
I don't
think you have to go that
second.
high. Yeah, I don't think you have to. If he showed a little bit more, we know the running ability, but he showed a little bit more in decision making and as a passer. Let's say he didn't have the same success as RG3 did, but similar. Maybe not as much far as the success he has as a rookie at throwing the football, but we've seen a lot of glimpses of that type of play. I think it can go higher then, because he showed enough of that, but I don't think he has shown enough of that. I think you'd be paying a lot if you go second round. But I think you go third and another player, something else you could throw in there, especially for the Bears. Pick up an offensive lineman. The Giants won't mind getting rid of some of the offensive linemen. They don't want them anyway, certain ones.
Here. Oh, yeah. Well, the problem with the Giants right now, and it's been their problem, is their offensive line's been a little disaster. And it's continuing to be. The offensive line with the Giants continues to be their Achilles heel. They can't seem to overcome it. That's why a guy like Justin Fields would really be good with the Giants, because he could really move around. Yeah. But the only bad part is I think he would fall into bad habits with that offensive line. That's what would scare me. But let's look real quick, and then we'll get to our picks. But when you look at the Chicago Bear remaining schedule here, they have Detroit at home next week, the 12th. They play that. They play them next. They're off this week. They have a bye week. Okay. Then they have Cleveland at Cleveland, Arizona home, Atlanta home, at Green Bay. it's not like oh my God, this is like an unbelievable schedule. They have a fairly interesting schedule. I know they're 4-8 and people think they're terrible and they're a crappy team, and I get it. But what happens if they go like on some kind of a winning streak here and say like they win 4 out of these? How about if they win 4 out of 5 games, which isn't too crazy now that it seems to be that that Bear defense has gotten better. It's their offense that they struggle with, but it's not a crazy schedule. But even if they win 3 out of 5 games, they might end up like 7-10 this year, which after starting as bad as they did and looking as putrid as they did.
Yeah, it would be good if they can get.
Does the coach keep his job at 7-10? Now, I still think they're moving on from Fields.
Yeah, I still think they'll want to get somebody
because they've got that number 1 pick, and I think they could if they can get a 3rd or a 2nd rounder for him. I think they do it.
Yeah, you have to take somebody like a
Caleb Williams.
The guy's accomplished. He already is accomplished passer,
right?
No doubt about it. And he's got the college experience.
And he's got the experience that he's got
a lot of games. He's done played a lot of games in the college rank. So he would be a guy that you definitely want to have and give him out. Now, will he struggle sometime? I'm sure you have some struggles, but then again, you never know. You never know. He might have one of those like Stroud or like Russell Wilson was as a rookie. You never know what they might do. So you'd have to wait and see for something like that. But it's going to be interesting, And like I said, with him being that young, sky's the limit. He got all kind of places he can go. But I think he definitely needs to learn behind someone and not just throw. Unless you're going to get a system that works conducive to him. But I still think he needs that just that learning curve, just a little bit. That learning curve. We ain't worried about the athleticism. It's all
he's
there.
got that, and he's got the size.
Yeah. It's just that like I said, he's kind of slow in reading his progression,
right?
And different things that they thought that wouldn't be a problem has been a problem for him. So,
well, sometimes in their quarterback defense, if they're in the line play was not real good his rookie year, and they develop. I think quarterbacks can get into developing bad habits when you bring them into a bad situation with a bad offensive line. And that's my concern is with Daniel Jones is these quarterbacks they have that, call it happy feet, where they feel like they got to run and they don't look at the progressions because they feel like the pressure's coming at them. And it's almost like habit. And that's something where maybe with Fields coaching and maybe gets more confidence in a better offensive line, he can break those habits.
It may help, but this is the thing that with you, and it was good you brought that up. Eberflus has done that for him from the beginning of the season.
Right.
They dummied down theirs where the progressions is not like a normal progression. Yeah, and he's still being slow in it.
Right.
So they just got to get him up to speed to that. Daniel Jones, on the other hand, they keep the same progressions, 3, 4. You got all these progressions behind a bad offensive line, and he's running all the time. I think if he's behind a solid offensive line, it could just be a decent one. A decent offensive line, I think that's a whole different quarterback because he's very athletic.
Yeah, he is.
And if he can, after this injury, can come back and be 95% of the guy he was before, that's still a great athlete. So, but he's been running for his life, and then he started creating a lot of bad habits, back foot throws, all that stuff.
Yeah, he
wasn't doing that before.
No.
It's all from that. And I don't understand why that, especially with Dayball, why didn't he scale that down for him? Because he's a guy, he's smart enough to do it, but he's running constantly.
He
has to take off. Yeah. Why is he taking off? He's got about 300 and some pounders coming bearing straight down at him. So he's on the run. Throws everything off. So I don't know why they haven't dummied his down, running the football, and
well,
because he can make we know he can make the throws. It's just that, wow, I don't know. People don't set up things for guys to be successful. You got to do that. And I was listening to NFL Network yesterday, and they was saying how Pete Carroll did things for Russell Wilson and why he had been so successful. Did the same thing with Geno Smith, and he knows how to work with quarterbacks. And that's the only reason I would say that could be a place that he could go. But I don't know if Pete Carroll wants to deal. He might want a veteran if he can get one, because of his age, one. But he don't act like his age. He's a young guy at heart. But he want to work with a guy that's already established a pro career.
This is where it'll get interesting.
But he could if they don't re-sign Geno and he can't get somebody else. I wouldn't say he wouldn't be in the.
You could get him for 2 years. You could get him the 4th year and already pick up the 5th year.
He'd be a good guy to go to.
And that's the thing. The thing is, what makes Fields fairly attractive is you've got a guy with some experience. Granted, we've discussed some of the challenges, but you've got a pretty good athletic quarterback that can make some of the throws. The point is, you pick him up, you trade for him, you got the 4th year, pick up the 5th year. You got him for 2 straight years before you have to give him the farm or not.
Mm-hmm.
So then you could see how he goes and then ultimately decide. So that's going to be interesting to see.
Pete Carroll's the right guy.
And if there's a guy that could do it, it's Pete Carroll, and Seattle's got a good defense, or at least they were, and obviously the Thursday night game. But let us get to the Sunday games. The Colts are at the Titans. That's the 1:00 game on CBS, and actually the Titans are getting 1 point at home.
The Titans?
Yes, they get a point. Indy goes into Tennessee laying 1 point. So the Titans, a home dog by 1 point. And Titans are 4-1 at home. And the Colts have a 4-1 away record. So the Colts 6-5, Titans are 4-7. Titans pretty much out of the playoffs. The Colts are right in it.
That's a good one.
That is a good one because you got to figure
Tennessee is just they'll raise up at the time when you think they won't. They're getting a point. Tennessee.
Yep, they get 1 point.
Wow. I'm gonna still go with Indy. I'm gonna still go on this guy, but I do got a feeling.
Yeah, I'm conflicted too with this. I just don't have a lot of faith in the Titans, but they are at home and they're better at home. I'll take the Titans, and I might regret it. Let's go to the Bolts at the Patriots, and the Bolts are laying 5.5 in Foxborough. It's going to be 43 degrees and rain. So
this is when Belichick will win a game. When you would think they should get blown
and he's
off the
getting
map.
5.5.
I know. But I'm just gonna go against everything. I'm gonna still go with
the Bolts.
The Bolts.
Yeah, the Patriots are just so bad, though.
I know that it's just,
and their quarterback is shot. Matt, the kid from
Mac. Oh, he's not.
Mac Jones
he's
isn't
not even starting.
Playing.
It's
Bailey Zappi. I got to go. I might regret it too. Bolts. Let's go to the Lions at the Saints, and the Lions. The Saints get 4.5 at home. Another home dog. God, that's 3 home dogs in a row. Titans, Pats, Saints are a home dog, getting 4.5 at home. Lions lost. They've been off for 10 days. The last game was the Packer loss.
That's a hard one there.
The Saints lost last week to the Falcons, if that's of any help, in Atlanta, 24-17.
Detroit. I'm gonna go with the Lions. It's hard.
Yeah,
they're playing in New Orleans, right?
In New Orleans, in a dome. I'm taking the Lions.
Yeah, me too.
I don't think the Saints are a good team. I mean, they're 5-6. They're in the playoff hunt, but that means nothing in the NFC. We'll have to get to that later. We'll talk a lot more about the next week about playoff teams or lack of. Falcons are at the Jets. Jets are getting 2 points. The Falcons won last week in the Saints. It's going to be 45 degrees and cloudy.
Falcons and the
So the weather won't be too bad. Falcons are on the road. The Jets are +2. They got beat last Friday against the Finns, 34-13. Falcons coming off a big win against the Saints. Falcons in the playoff hunt. Well, they're in the division hunt in that division, 5-6.
And how many points the Jets getting?
Jets get 2.
I do want to
2
take
points.
Them. I actually want to take them in a way.
Okay. I'm going to take the Falcons because there's no way I'm taking the Jets.
Come on, Timmy Boyle.
That quarterback Boyle is actually worse than Zach Taylor.
Oh, no.
You don't think so?
No,
I think the paper boy delivering the papers is better than either one of those guys, but that's got nothing to do with anything.
Oh man, I don't know.
What do you want, Dave Clark?
2 points. They just can't score.
They can't.
That may be the only points they get is the 2 they getting.
Right.
From the
right.
I want to take them, but I'm gonna go with the Falcons too because I don't know how they're gonna score. Unless they do it defensively.
Yeah, we'll get into a bigger, deeper discussion next week. Who's better, Boyle or Zach Taylor? We'll get into that discussion. We'll hold that one off for next week. Oh, God. Cardinals are at the Steelers. Steelers are actually, this is the first home team not getting points. The Cardinals get 6 and a hook in Pittsburgh.
No, they can't stop nobody.
But the Cardinals looked really bad last week, and I picked them. I don't know.
Murray can do some things, but they can't stop nobody. So, and Pittsburgh can't do anything much, but they'll be able to stop them.
Oh, man. 6 and a half.
Yeah, I'm taking Pittsburgh.
Steelers. Yeah. Yeah, I have to go with Steelers just because the Cardinals are, like you said, they can't stop anybody. The next one is that the Dolphins are at the Commanders, or we like to call them the Washingtons. And 9.5. Another home dog getting a lot of points. Washington's getting 9.5. It's going to be 46 degrees and looks like it's going to be like sunny, cloudy day. So 9.5 points.
Everything says Miami, but I'm going to take the Commandos.
You're going to take the Washingtons.
The Commandos.
Yeah, the Commandos.
Let me take them. I'm just taking this on a limb. I'm just going to just do it. 9.5.
That's a lot of points.
That's a lot of points.
It?
I'm just going to take it.
Me too. I shouldn't.
I know. Me
but
either.
Maybe Miami playing in a colder weather is going to kind of like keep this game relatively close. I think that's a lot of points. I think Washington can keep it closer. I don't think they can win,
right?
But they can keep it closer than 9.5. Let's move on to the Broncos at the Texans. This is really a good game. 1:00 CBS. Broncos at the Texans, and Broncos another win last week over the Browns. And
is it a 4:00 game?
No, this is 1:00. Oh, they flexed this out. It was supposed to be, but this got flexed out, I believe. But anyway, Texans are laying 3 points. Broncos get 3 points. Texans lost a game last week to the Jags. They kicked the field goal and went off the goalpost.
Yeah, seen that.
And crossbar. Hit the crossbar and bounced back. Would have tied the game. Yeah, it was one of the best games of the weekend by far. 3 points. Texans laying 3. Broncos are up to 6 and 5. They may get up in the playoffs.
Yeah, they both 6 and 5.
And both of them are 6 and 5. They're both definitely playoff contention. A big game here.
I don't know who to take on this one.
I'll take the home team and the Texans and lay the 3 points.
The Texans are. Now that's one thing you say, they are the home.
Right. So I'm going to go.
I'm going to take the Broncos.
Okay.
The Broncos is getting 3.
Let's go to the 4:00 game of the next game. 4:05 is the Panthers are at the Buccaneers. This is a brutal game because Buccaneers are 4-7. The Panthers are 1-10. They got a new coach. Frank Reich's fired. We talked a little bit about that. We saw that one coming. I just thought he'd make the end of the year. No such luck. So Frank Reich out of a job. I think this team is a mess. Although you never know. They got a new coach in. You know how that goes. Sometimes you bring in a new coach and the team like.
Well, how much is the Panthers getting?
5. They get 5 points.
I'm going to take them.
Panthers and 5.
Yeah, I'm going to take them with it seemed like the injection of new coach. This would be the one that won't work.
This might do it.
This won't be the one that work.
I'm going to go with the Buccaneers. Although Todd Bowles could be coaching for his job too. Yep. Rumor has it he's on the proverbial hot seat.
No question.
Let's go to the Browns at the Rams. 4 points. The Browns get 4 points on the road against the Rams. They had a bad loss last week. Joe Flacco's starting for the Browns this week. So we've got Browns getting 4 points with Flacco as the starter. The Rams won big last week. They're in the playoff hunt, the Rams.
Yeah.
5-6. They've really started to
Play good, too.
Playing good. Big win last week against the Cardinals, 37-14. Browns coming off a bad loss at the Broncos, 29-12. They get 4 points.
I'm going to take the Browns.
All right. I'm taking the Rams. I think the Rams are playing better, but the Browns are probably due to win.
Yeah.
Because they had a bad week, but the way the Rams have been playing and they seem to be getting better every week.
Kyron Williams' help with that running game.
Yeah.
It's helped everything for Stafford to throw.
I'll take the Rams and lay the 4. Let's go to the 49ers at the Eagles. This is a head scratcher because even Kyle Shanahan doesn't understand why the Eagles are getting 3 points. He goes, I don't understand any of that. And I agree with him. I don't understand it either. The Eagles are a home dog. They're 10-1 over the Niners. They're getting 3 points. San Francisco on the road. The big game, 4:25 Fox game. Everybody, eyeballs will definitely be on the set for this one. Too bad they couldn't have flexed this out for the Monday night game and put this Monday night and put the Bengals and the Jags there, but they evidently couldn't do that. So bottom line is we got the 49ers laying 3 points to your Philadelphia Eagles, Dave
I'm going to take the Eagles, but it's...
and 3 points.
I'm going to take the 3 points. I just know that San Fran is going to be geeked, and I mean really ready to go after these guys. For sure, they want to go after them. And they got Philly's done played a stretch of tough games.
And they keep winning them.
And they got more to go.
And they got more to go, but they keep finding a way to win games.
I know.
I don't know. What's the weather going to be? 48 degrees and sunny. So the weather's not going to be a problem. Oh, man, I am conflicted on this so bad.
No, it's hard.
Because I just can't decide.
That's my team, so that's why I'm taking them. But
the Eagles at home. I'll go 49ers. I'll go that direction and lay the 3. Let's go to the Chiefs at the Packers. This is the Sunday nighter. Packers get 6 points. Another home dog. Man, we got a lot of home dogs.
Yeah.
Where is the studio dog? We had I hasn't been here. Wait.
I know. Well, I'm going to
Gessler's got to start giving him better food. I don't know. Get him in here. Anyway, let's look at the Chiefs at the Packers, 6 points. Packers get 6.
I'm going to take the Packers. I think the Chiefs going to win, but maybe the Packers can play up to.
They won last week. They won last Thursday over the Lions.
Yeah,
bad. 29-22, dominated the Lions.
Yeah,
but the Chiefs, after being down 14-0 to the Raiders, that's the problem with the Chiefs. It's like you took the Raiders, I went with the Chiefs on the last week. The only reason why I did that is because I hate picking against Mahomes.
Yeah. And you can't you can't get, if you got a lead, don't get conservative.
No.
And they did.
They tightened up and then
they jumped in.
Kansas City.
I just kept bombing away. I kept doing everything. I was trying to score.
You've got it right. You just can't.
Now, Al Davis would have been.
No, Al Davis
would have been hollering down.
Yeah.
Keep
throwing.
Yep. Go after him.
The bombs.
He would have.
I'm going to take the Chiefs and lay the points. The Monday night game, not a good game. I'm sorry. Although this could be these games could always get interesting. The Bengals with no Joe Burrow and no chance. I'm sorry. They're 5-6. They're at the Jags. Jags are laying 9 points though.
And that's a lot. It's a lot. The quarterback might play a little bit better for Cincy and get it to us.
Boy, I hope so.
But I'm still going with the Jags.
Yeah, I got to go Jags.
They got to win these games.
Jacksonville is leading the division. They're in first place. I'll take the Jacksonville Jags and lay the 9. This is going to be an interesting because you and I differed just about on like the last 4 games. We're all over the board. So
you got Jags on.
I got the Jags on this one. I got the Chiefs, the Niners, the Rams. You got the Browns, Eagles, and Packers. I just think right now the 49ers, I think, feel like they really need to prove a point after losing 3. And the Eagles, I think the Eagles, it's going to catch up with them. They should have lost to Buffalo last week, but they won.
Yeah,
but they do that every week.
They find a way, and they got tough games going on.
The rest of the Eagles schedule's tough. I mean,
they'll be playoff ready.
But they're going to play.
Sure.
Yeah. But if they end up with the number one seed, I still think the Eagles are headed to the Super. I think it could be the Super Bowl, could be the Eagles and the Chiefs again. Maybe not, but
it's possible.
It looks like they're heading in that general direction. And the thing with the Chiefs, their quarterback, man, you talk about a guy, ice water in the veins, as cool as a breeze, man. Yep. The Philadelphia, how he is like just so cool.
Who, Hurts?
Hurts.
Yeah, no, he just stays the same.
But he doesn't the coach is yelling and screaming at the fans like a lunatic. And Jalen Hurts comes in and he looks like, okay, here I am.
Yeah, I know.
Let's go.
And
he doesn't he gets hit, he gets up, hands the ball, no emotion.
Yeah, I know.
As cool he's so cool weird. As the breeze, ice water in the veins, man. I love that guy. Yeah. I love Jalen Hurts.
I didn't know he would be that great of a
I didn't either. NFL second round pick, who thought?
I didn't think so.
Saturday morning sports page, Pat Lucia, Dave Clark. We'll do it again next week. Western Reserve Radio is the station you're listening to. Stay safe, do not drink, and do not drive. Get a designated driver.
Hi, it's Mark Means, host of By All Means, Tuesdays at 5, right here on Western Reserve Radio, WRDB, The Scourge.
Keyboard Cat, Hamilton the Pug, and Toast Meets World. These are some of the internet's most beloved pets, and they all have one thing in common. Their stories started in a shelter. Start your story. Adopt a dog or cat today. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a pet near you. Training that pet to play the keyboard, that's optional. Start a story. Adopt a shelter or rescue pet today. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
Okay, what are you wearing right now?
Nothing.
That's right. So mommy's going to teach you how to dress yourself. Underwear always comes first, name tag at the back, then pants, then shirt. Get the first button in the right hole or you have to start all over. Socks going first, then shoes, right on right, left on left. With shoelaces, just take the ends, cross them over, switch the loops, the rabbit goes down the hole, pull tight, and you're left with bunny ears. Got it? Why are your pants on your head?
Most parenting is hard to do in just 2 minutes. 2 minutes twice a day making sure they brush their teeth is easier, and it could help save them from a lifetime of tooth pain. Visit 2min2x.org to find out more. A message from the Partnership for Healthy Mouths, Healthy Lives, and the Ad Council.
How's it going? I'm having a stroke. Are you going to shake my hand? I'm having a stroke. Wow, you're not even moving your arm. I'm having a stroke.
When someone is having a stroke, they may not be able to say it with words, but their body language will tell you loud and clear. Look for FAST. F, face drooping. A, arm weakness. S, speech difficulty. T, time to call 911 immediately. Know the sudden signs. Spot a stroke fast. Visit strokeassociation.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.
The Storks are bringing me a baby brother. We can do this together.
All right, let's go.
Storks know how to keep kids safe. Do you?
What?
Oh my gosh, you don't know.
I know.
You don't. Oh man, you laugh when you're uncomfortable.
No. Making sure your child is in the right car seat is one of the steps to safer travel.
I will rock this.
You will rock this. To know for sure that your child is in the right car seat for their age and size, visit safercar.gov/the right seat. Cool. Very cool. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council.
W&M Quality Roofing LLC is an insured and bonded Mahoning Valley family-owned roofing business. At W&M, we treat your roof and home as if it's our very own. Give us a call at 330-647-0610 for a free estimate. Did you get damage from the latest storm? We also offer financing and specialists for insurance claims. For professional and efficient service, call W&M Quality Roofing at 330-647-0610. If you love history, head over to YouTube and check out Blogging Through History. Hosted by Mineral Ridge High School graduate Chris Mowery, Blogging Through History visits historic sites to explore not only the well-known figures and events of the past, but also compelling stories that maybe you've never heard before. Chris would also like to wish his niece Amira Emsch and the Mineral Ridge Rams the best of luck for a successful 2023 season.
Okay, what are you wearing right now?
Nothing.
That's right. So mommy's going to teach you how to dress yourself. Underwear always comes first, name tag at the back, then pants, then shirt. Get the first button in the right hole or you have to start all over. Socks going first, then shoes right on right, left on left. With shoelaces, just take the ends, cross them over, switch the loops, the rabbit goes down the hole, pull tight, and you're left with bunny ears. Got it? Why are your pants on your head?
Most parenting is hard to do in just 2 minutes. But 2 minutes twice a day making sure they brush their teeth is easier, and it could help save them from a lifetime of tooth pain. Visit 2min2x.org to find out more. A message from the Partnership for Healthy Mouths, Healthy Lives, and the Ad Council.
This message is for all of you sitting in the passenger seat. And apologies if it gets a little uncomfortable. But how does it feel to be at the mercy of someone who thinks a random text is more important than your life? Someone who takes their eyes off the road while speeding along in a 3-ton hunk of steel. Freaky, right? Well, why not just ask them to stop? Or better yet, volunteer to text for them. It might be a little awkward, but believe me, you'll live.
Learn more at stoptextstoprex.org. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
We are live outside the home of Joe and Rosie Goddard, where a pretty big tickle fight broke out just minutes ago. Sources say their father instigated the laughter. Let's go inside for a comment. Apparently, they have no comment. Dads, let this be a reminder that it only takes a moment to make a moment. Call 877-4DAD-411 or visit fatherhood.gov. Brought to you by the U.S. Department of Health and Human Services and the Ad Council.
How's it going? I'm having a stroke. Are you going to shake my hand? I'm having a stroke. Wow, you're not even moving your arm. I'm having a stroke.
When someone is having a stroke, they may not be able to say it with words, but their body language will tell you loud and clear. Look for FAST, F, face drooping, A, arm weakness, S, speech difficulty, T, time to call 911 immediately. Know the sudden signs. Spot a stroke fast. Visit strokeassociation.org. Brought to you by the American Stroke Association and the Ad Council.
Miss an episode of By All Means, and you could miss a lot.
That's where it all begins, with the rich sports history that we have in the Valley. We're going to talk national, we're going to talk regional, but it all begins here at home. So that is where a lot of those topics and conversations that we have with you every Tuesday are going to come from.
By All Means, Tuesdays at 5, right here on Western Reserve Radio and streaming live on westernreserveradio.com.
You're listening to Western Reserve Radio at westernreserveradio.com on the Live 365 network and the Live 365 app.
I think people are over-evaluating the Rams' win against the Arizona Cardinals. Well, the Rams are always going to win games when they can run the football. And the Cardinals, you can run the ball on them fairly easily. So when the Rams run for 228, I'm not surprised. You know, the week before, they got fortunate to beat a Seattle team, even though they only ran for 82 yards. Seattle's sitting there kicking themselves. Yeah. Where Seattle's season went away from them is Myers hasn't been very reliable in kicking.
That was the kick that was missed as time expired in that game. Seattle, if they don't make the playoffs, they're going to be kicking themselves about this Rams getting swept by Los Angeles and the kicker and all that stuff. Like, that's going to be the one where they're like, man, we really could have put our own destiny in our own hands there. But unfortunately, they did not. Let's get to the Lombardi look ahead here and talk about a game, of course, that you want no parts of. This one happens to be in the Meadowlands.
Yeah. I mean, what did I read today? I read today in the New York Post, when I read the Post this morning, Jets playoff hopes dwindling. Like, where do they have playoff hopes? Like, where does this hope come from? And, you know, look, I've been on Atlanta's side quite a bit this year. They've actually done me pretty good, believe it or not. I mean, they've actually won me some games in terms of, like, last week they covered. It's a struggle. I mean, you're holding your breath the entire game, right? Because these two coaches are really not very good against the spread. But you got one team, Atlanta, that needs to run the ball. You got another team in the Jets that, in spite of this reputation of being this incredibly great defense, that they could compete with the 85 Bears, you can run the football. They're 31st in the National League in terms of teams coming in, running the football on them, rushing attempts. Nobody has a problem with lining up and running the ball on them. Atlanta will run the ball. They can run the ball on anybody. So for me, Atlanta runs the ball. How the Jets score points. Then you got weather, rain, slosh, all those things. I don't trust either side. Ritter's turned the ball over way too much for me. The Jets don't score any points at all. They haven't scored over 15 points since the bye week. I mean, they're terrible on offense. They can't convert a third down to save their life. They're 22% on third down. I mean, they could punt on second down. It might do them better. So I don't trust the Jets. I certainly don't trust the Falcons. And on the road outside the dome, when you look at the splits for Ritter, you just say to yourself, wait a minute, this isn't good. Look at the splits for Timmy Boyle. He's 2-2 against the spread. He's 0-4 as a starter. I just think, to me, this is a game where I don't like either side. So I call up Daryl and I call up John. I make sure they're in separate parts of the room because we don't want to get them mad at each other because they're in court, and just let them sing.
Yeah, well, there's a restraining order. That's why we have them separated there. So Falcons Jets, the official Hall & Oates play of the week.
I can't go for that. No can do.
You mentioned that maybe the Jets would be better off punting on second down.
Would you play it?
No, hell no.
Would you take this?
No, absolutely not. I don't have this on my betting card. I don't want any parts of it. I agree.
Arthur Smith ranks 135th out of 143 coaches in the last 20 seasons. And last in the last 49 coaches that have been hired when he was hired against the spread. I mean, how do you trust them? Every time you get a win from Atlanta against the spread, you just say, thank God, I got that one. Now, but don't go back. Don't go twice on it. Nope. Don't go back again on it. I wanted to take Atlanta. I wanted to because on paper, they can run the ball on the Jets. And their defense will play good enough against the Jets where the Jets won't score. They'll score their usual 13 if they can score 13. That's all they'll score. So it looks like a good play. It looks too easy. And, to me, there's just too much uncertainty. I mean, look, we all just think it's all Rodgers why the Jets haven't been able to score more than 13 points in the last 5 weeks. It's not. It's not. And Breece Hall, for all the conversation of him being an elite back, he's not an elite back since the injury. He had the long run against the Bills in the opening day, but he has struggled down in and down out to play effectively, to break tackles, to make people miss, to show up. I mean, he has a 4.6 yards per attempt, but that's a lot of it contributed to the fact he had these long runs in there. His success rate is not good. And nobody can run the football. I think the Jets have 2 rushing touchdowns all year.
It's not been good for the New York Jets. The offensive line has had problems. They want to call for Nathaniel Hackett's head and all that stuff with the play caller.
I mean,
offense
in fairness,
is a complete disaster.
In fairness, Femi, how do you not? You can't just say this is one player. You just can't. It's unfair. The offense is similar to what we saw in Denver last year.
Was not good. And now Denver's winning games. Let's get to your line of the week, though. This is the game of the week that everyone's excited for, the Niners at the Eagles.
Well, I just go with this one. I can't trust that. I think Philly at home. I mean, when these games go in this swing, I think I had the numbers that, they're godly unheard of. All the people that have taken San Francisco in here, when the numbers go from in a 3-point swing, it's usually not good to the team it swung to. And it's well below 50%, well below that number. Look, I think everybody is, you get Philly at 3 points as a home dog. I know they could be tired. I know it's going to be a hard game. I get that. But I don't know how to play. I don't know how to handicap Philly after they played 92 plays of defense last week. I think that'll be something we could talk about with Brian Baldinger in the next block. He's been around the team quite a bit. How are they going to handle all the volume of work that has come to them since Kansas City and Buffalo?
Yeah, it's a tough stretch here for the Philadelphia Eagles, but as Michael just teased, Brian Baldinger, NFL Network analyst, joins us next here on the Lombardi Line, breaking down this game of the week.
With the Bloomberg Business of Sports Report, I'm Michael Barr. The French Alps and Salt Lake City are a step closer to hosting the Olympic and Paralympic Winter Games in 2030 and 2034, respectively. According to an International Olympic Committee, its executive board invited committees from France and the U.S. into targeted dialogues. The IOC will announce the winners in July of 2024. A bank manager in Turkey is accused of luring prominent soccer players into handing over their life savings by promising outsized returns. According to to court documents. Details of the alleged operation involved bags full of cash changing hands at candy shops and suspicious investors using tracking devices to trace their money. Players, including ex-Barcelona midfielder Arda Turan, have accused Cecil Erzan, the manager of Danisbank, of orchestrating the $44 million Ponzi scheme in 2022. With the Bloomberg Business of Sports report, I'm Michael Barr.
Children are the greatest joy and our best hope for a better future. Friends, they are the future. But did you know that millions of kids are facing hunger every day? Food is not just food. It's energy, health, confidence, hope, and even love. Yes, love. Learn more about how No Kid Hungry is helping end child hunger in America at helpnokidhungry.org.
I can't wait for what's next, even with higher stroke risk due to atrial fibrillation, an irregular heartbeat not caused by a heart valve problem. Eliquis, the Pixaban tablets, reduces stroke risk. It's the #1 cardiologist prescribed blood thinner.
Don't stop taking prescription Eliquis without talking to your doctor, as this may increase your risk of stroke. Eliquis can cause serious and in rare cases fatal bleeding. Don't take Eliquis if you have an artificial heart valve, abnormal bleeding, or have antiphospholipid syndrome. While taking, you may bruise more easily or take longer for bleeding to stop. A spinal injection while on Eliquis increases risk of blood clots, which may cause paralysis, the inability to move. Get medical help right away for unexpected bleeding or unusual bruising, or if you have tingling, numbness, or muscle weakness. It may increase your bleeding risk if you take medicines such as aspirin products, NSAIDs, SSRIs, SNRIs, and blood thinners. Tell your doctor about all planned medical or dental procedures. Learn more at Eliquis.com or call 1-855-ELIQUIS.
Wake up call! You guys want to kick field goals all game? Is that what the league is coming down to now? Do you know how many box scores I look at where I see a kicker kick 4 field goals in a game now? It happens all the time.
The offense seems to be able to move the ball in their first 50 pretty easily.
Exactly.
Once they get past the 50, everything gets stalled. But now you have kickers where it's like, oh, let's go for the 50-plus yard field goal. He's consistent.
At this rate, kickers are going to start making $20 million a year.
It's a kicker's league, Tony.
Wake up call with Tony V and Ron Culver. Weekdays from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern.
This is Brian Musburger, and you've got the best of both worlds. VSiN programming on the SportsMap Radio Network.
This is the Lombardi Line with former NFL executive Michael Lombardi. Now here is your host, Femi Abebefe, on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Become a VSiN Pro subscriber today and get a daily email recapping all the best bets from our show hosts and guests. You'll also get unlimited access to our VSiN.com/picks page, so our picks by sport, matchup, event date, and more. Check the top VSiN experts leaderboard to view betting records, profit, and ROI, and see which VSiN expert has the hot hand for VSiN Pro picks, betting splits, power ratings, plus 24/7 video access. Become a VSiN Pro subscriber today. Sign up now for only $9.99 at VSiN.com/subscribe. Welcome back. This is the Lombardi Line on the DraftKings Network. Femi Abebefe here in downtown Las Vegas. Michael Lombardi out in the great state of New Jersey. And joining us now, absolutely one of my favorite followers, or follows, I should say, on Twitter. Has the hashtag Baldy's breakdowns. They're wonderful for all football fans. The one and only Brian Baldinger, NFL Network analyst, here joining us on the Lombardi Line. And Baldy, we appreciate you taking the time this morning. We know that you're on the road traveling to your game here, but want to start off with the Niners and the Eagles game of the week here. And the betting market has an infatuation with the 49ers in this spot. Now 3-point road favorites at the link here. Is that how you see it when you break down the tape? Do the Niners just have too many advantages for the Eagles, or are the Eagles being a little bit disrespected?
I don't think they're being disrespected. San Francisco is playing at a very, very high level right now. Offense, defense, everybody is, and they've had 10 days to get ready for this game, playing on Thanksgiving. So I think they got it right. I think they look at how complete San Francisco is and how Philadelphia, although they're in the middle of a gauntlet of playing, a lot of great teams, I think San Francisco just executes at a higher level right now.
Yeah, Baldy, when you watch Philly this year, what's the one thing, forget the record, what's the one thing that jumps out to you that's different than when you watched them last year?
Like, they've already given up more touchdown passes this year than they gave up all of last year. I mean, the pass defense is about as porous as it gets. The only team that has given up more passing touchdowns this year in this whole league are the Commanders. And